Chicago is situated in the Great Lakes region of the American Midwest in the state of Illinois. Rising from the edges of Lake Michigan, Chicago began as a tiny trading post at the mouth of the Chicago River and has boomed into a modern global center of commerce and culture.
Welcome to Both Down 2020 Chaos Cup Edition. I am Steve, aka Kilowoggy, the guy who could not go this year. With me, as always, Scott Prime, also known as the guy who could go this year.
Howdy, Steve.
How's it going?
I'm very, 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 very tired.
Yeah, you just got back yesterday, right?
Yes, I got back yesterday. I'll go through every day on this trip. Plans changed. We left a little bit differently than we all originally planned like a week ago, but that's what happens, and you adapt and move on, right?
Yep.
So I am in that stage where, like, I wish today was Friday so I could go into the weekend and have a couple of days to rest. But unfortunately, today is Tuesday, and I got to work the rest of the week. So
that sucks. Well, part of the reason why I did not go this year is I worked 76 hours last week.
That is amazing, bro.
Last week by itself, 70, 76, 72, something like that. I can't remember anymore.
Sounds like you're going to buy me dinner after all this because you're going to have so much overtime money.
Well, if someone hadn't played sevens with people who don't know how to wear masks, then maybe.
Oh, well, we'll get to that later, right?
Traveling in the year of the COVID.
Yeah, all sorts of different opinions and thoughts, right?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Well, that's
opinions, yes. Facts, no.
I didn't say facts.
It's true.
So how you been doing, man? Did you feel like you were missing out?
You know, I did and I didn't. I very much would have liked to have been there, like when you did the pizza and everything, saw everybody. But again, when I saw people not wearing masks and I saw people being drunk or, I didn't really miss that part of it.
Sure.
This was basically one, because my job was been super busy right now. I didn't know if I'd have the time off. But also I mainly didn't go because of COVID. And I'm still not comfortable, even with, strict mask mandates, which, they should be fine. That is, if everyone pays attention and actually does it. But I don't trust people to do that, especially when I know, Blood Bowl tends to lead to drinking. Drinking leads to poor decision making. And poor decision making leads to, I don't need to wear this mask.
Okay.
So I would have loved to have been there, but I'm also fine missing a year because of this.
I've been racking my brain how to discuss the whole trip without maybe stepping on toes or hurting people's feelings or anything like that. And so I'm going to just start and say that I'm going to try to be as honest as I can. And I don't mean nothing is personal. I want that to be super, super clear, because I didn't encounter really anybody that I thought was trying to be a jerk or was trying to be mean or, rowdy or anything like that in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
Okay. So I want that to be abundantly clear. I will say this year was very different going to Chaos Cup for a couple of reasons. This year I traveled with Robert and Gary. My two oldest friends on this planet. They know me better than probably anybody else on this planet. We've been friends for me and Robert good friends since sixth grade. And if you put my age into that, that's over 30 years of a relationship. And, I've known Gary since tail end of eighth grade into ninth grade. And so that's another 30 plus year relationship. And I'm fortunate enough to say that, I have two relationships as friends, and we kind of know way too much about each other to maybe even a fault. And but and we're all very different, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure we get on each other's nerves at times, and the whole trip was it was fun and nostalgic from the point of like the very first year me and you went to Chaos Cup. Deep down, I wished those guys were there also playing with us, because as people who enjoyed the fluff side and playing Blood Bowl, here, that I remember that first year just saying I went to Chaos Cup was magical. Like, oh,
Right.
we're gonna get a miniature. We're playing Chaos Cup. It's in the books. This is just the greatest thing ever.
It was really unique and special. So yeah.
Right. And now I've been 9 out of the last 10 years, and saying Chaos Cup is still meaningful, but not from that magical. It's like if you went to Disney World 9 out of 10 years, the first time's magical, the second, third time's magical, and then after that it's Disney World, and you say that really quick and easy.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted them to go. Gary couldn't ever make it before. Robert doesn't care enough to play Blood Bowl, at tournaments. So we still got to go. Robert came on the trip with us.
Robert's always down for a good time.
Robert's always ready for a travel. If you want to travel anywhere, most likely he will travel with you. He'll be your.
It's not the first Blood Bowl tournament he's gone to either.
Right. Yeah. Just to travel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That dude is a nomad. He'd be fine traveling by himself, but if he can travel with some friends and get some good food, he's always down. Gary wanted to play Blood Bowl. Gary's honestly the main reason why I went this year, is because he, for the first time, he was a statistician for the Thunder, and it's his second job. So he worked full time, a quite stressful job, and then he had the Thunder, keeping the stats for the NBA, and he retired from that part of his life after the season before this season. So like, when Chaos Cup came up, it was like, no, I need to spend time with my family because I'm so, Thunder season's about to start. And,
right.
I'm going to be away,
You only get so much time.
Nights of the year. Right. And if there's Thunder plays on, Christmas Eve or Thanksgiving or whatever, he has to be down there. So he was really the main reason why I went this year. I kind of said, like, if you can go and we get a couple weeks out and things don't look crazy, too crazy, and I can get the time off, I'll go. And plus my money situation. And I've been very fortunate during all this COVID stuff, even though like job stuff's been wishy-washy. Luckily I've saved enough money and stuff like that where I could go and it not hurt me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you've done well.
So we made the trip. It wasn't like in stone making that trip until probably 8 days, 9 days before we actually left.
Yeah.
So, because I remember he was like, "Oh, I got to make reservations and all this stuff," and that didn't happen until like Thursday. So less than a week, before we went, because we wanted to make sure me and Robert's schedule, because me and Robert are employed at the same place, and we wanted to make sure it all worked out. Anyways, long story short, paid ahead of time, we got to go. Then the decision was to what do we want to do on these segments? Is this our intro, and then you want me to go into day 1, 2, and 3 and all that stuff?
Oh, we can just do it all together. Whatever.
Okay. Well, let's go through the decision making of the team, and then we'll take a break, and then I'll just tell you, like on all our Chaos Cup trips, like where we went, what we ate, because I know everybody thinks that's all we do is eat food, and they're pretty close to being right when we go on these trips.
It is a lot of the fun.
So any questions so far, Steve?
No.
Okay.
Not for me anyways.
All right. I know this is one of those episodes where I get to be the storyteller most of the time.
I know.
All you non-Scott Prime fans are just turning it off, and that's okay.
Well, I mean, it's a good corollary to last year when, I did it.
But overall, I'll get to overalls at the end of it. Selecting a team. I had many discussions. First, as soon as the Snotlings came out, I wanted to go get the faster non-secret weapons Snotlings painted.
Yeah, and we still have not gone over the Snotlings.
No, we haven't.
work and everything.
right? So when that Snotling team came out, there's a couple positionals that are faster that don't have secret weapons, and I thought, oh, I could play with Morg again. I could go to this tournament. I'll let Gary be the stressed out guy worrying about his record, and I'll be the guy that, man, if I win anything, I'm going to be pretty happy because
Right.
I played, I did the gimmick of I'm going to play Snotlings with Morg before, made it to the Stunty Cup, all Snotlings, Morg, and then I think I had Brick Farth and Grotti,
Mm-hmm.
and that was actually, I mean, you expect to lose every game, so a tie or anything's pretty magical and funny. So I was going to do that again. And then you and several people gave me this. There's not going to be any Europeans here. There's not going to be any Canadians here. This is the one year, if any, that me or you or us common people have a chance that we could luck into like a 4-game winning streak and get to top table.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, that was.
I mean,
was.
you gave me that speech, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
Because there's no Canadians, there's no foreigners. You got Brian 2 coming, and you've got probably a lot of Floridians and a lot of Chicagoans.
Right.
That's it. So no disparaging anyone, but this is not the year of global.
It's not global Chaos Cup. You're right about that. It's not even North America Chaos Cup.
Right.
It's Chicago Chaos
So
Cup.
by default, your caliber of opponents is going to be lesser. Therefore, your ability to take first place is going to be greater.
Well, I mean, you're not going to, as you said it, you're not going to walk into the Swedish buzzsaw like that one year where I played David and then Magnus.
Yeah, and three of them were on top tables.
Yeah, they all had a great year that year.
And Anders was, stunty, just living it up down there.
And you also told me don't take Stunty. The Snotling team's brand new. 2 or 3 people will be playing that just to play it.
I also told you to take Chaos Dwarves.
You did.
Because high armor, there's going to be a lot of stunties. There's going to be a lot of probably, that type of people out there with dodge. You've got built-in tackle, would be a good one.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes.
Wait, you were wrong about stunties. There was only 3 stunty teams total there.
Really?
Yes. 2 goblin teams and 1 ogre team.
Did they not allow snotlings?
No, they allowed it. Just nobody brought them.
Okay, weird.
So I told you I wanted to do my snotling thing. You said no. And I told you well, maybe I'll just play ogres and do the stupid, the build where you let people run by, but like the last hurrah for piling on.
Yeah.
Because I assume next year there's almost, I cannot see any way that the NAF continues to hang on to these old rules.
No.
So I thought for one last hurrah, take the same exact team I did and try to repeat as Chaos Cup most brutal with that same team, right?
And of course I said, don't do that. It's douchey to play that because it's annoying.
Yeah, but you said it's not fun when people just let you walk by. It's not fun for either guy.
Just like last time you did it, I stand by that.
No, I told you it was cool to get an award, and at the same time it felt weird, right?
Yeah.
I'm not one that likes to let just people run by and bag a game, really. But I tried it that one year and it worked out. But you also said if somebody else is going to be doing that this year, and if it's all or nothing. If you don't get it, you might get the wooden spoon. And you said you're going to hate that because you don't want that award.
Yeah, you particularly would not be happy with the wooden spoon.
Exactly.
I wouldn't care. I would have welcomed it that one year. And
me and Mike Bell, GW Junkie, had a big conversation about that. How he was furious one time where he had bad luck and he got the wooden spoon. And I said, Steve would love that. But
I'm not looking to be the worst, but that one year where everything just went wrong and I had to play freaking Chaos Pact that last round and the other guy played Goblins, I'm like, come on.
So going back and forth, I really, for whatever reason, didn't want to play Chaos Dwarves. I haven't played them in any way, shape, or form, and probably 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm also not one to practice a lot of games for Chaos Cup like the Swedes or probably anybody else normal. Maybe even the Florida group probably practices some games. I'm not good with that. I know that's weird. I don't like playing games that I know they are meaningful, but like if it was a league practice game, I'd be like more
No,
into it
I mean,
versus
they don't matter.
right. So I went back and forth. You know, you told me to cast dwarves. Scott Hess was really saying, "Oh, you need to play dwarves. You're amazing with dwarves," which I'm not. My NAF record shows I'm not. The truth is, the NAF record shows that I'm better with agility teams.
Yeah.
I'm better at the screens and stuff like that than these cages. But our local guys have this perceived notion that like I'm Mr. Cage, and I'm not really that well. I didn't want to play dwarves either, so I went back and forth, and finally I was just like, "What if Jonas still has his roster, the one that he won Chaos Cup twice with?" And I got a hold of our buddy Jonas, and he sent me the roster, and I said, "That's what I'm going to play." You know,
No
I looked through
changes, just straight up.
Yeah, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. You know how you probably don't do this. I do this. When I make up a roster, I metagame and self doubt myself throughout the whole process, all the way to the end of like submitting it in. Like, oh, but what if nobody shows up with? What if everybody has sure hands and I take this strip ball and it's
Sure, yeah.
ineffective and blah blah blah. So I just, instead of like, if that was my roster, that would have been wrestle somewhere, even on a Norse team, which I know is stupid. But I thought, I'm just going to try it. I know Jonas is a superior player to me, but I'm going to see what I can do because really I wanted more than anything to make the top 10.
And didn't Hess take that 1 year? Same roster?
No, he told me, like, even before we were talking, he said, "You're going to hate that roster. That's not your play style. You got to take dwarves. That's your play style. You're really going to hate it because there's no Ulf runners on it, et cetera, et cetera."
Okay.
He took well, maybe he did play it, but he didn't say like I played it and hated it. He just said I would hate it.
Okay.
Anyway, so I came up with, I just went with the Arctic Crag Spider's name because I thought I bought into this. Well, what if I have a chance to win it? Wouldn't it be awesome to win the Chaos Cup with like a second edition name? I think I would find more joy in that than even having my own team name in there, which would be the Skeggy Blue Storm. That would be really nostalgic for me. So I thought, if you're going to dream hard, right? So I went with the Arctic Crag Spiders. I worked about a week on naming the team. I finally turned in my roster. I got it right here so I can tell everybody. In case you're wondering, I had a Snow Troll with Mighty Blow. I had 2 Berserkers, one with Tackle and Mighty Blow, one with Piling On and Mighty Blow. And then I had 1 Guard lineman and 1 Sure Hands lineman. So it was 1 Yeti, 2 Berserkers, and the other 10 guys were linemen. I had 2 rerolls, 1 Apothecary, and 1 Fan Factor. And that made up my team. I went through the Lore Nuffle website, and I picked out every Norse name that they could confirm was Norse. And I added them to my teams. That way I could have some like an all-star team of Norse guys. So that was kind of fun. And, I was ready to get this thing going. And that's what I turned in. My friend Gary took Slan. He just recently paid about maybe upwards between $200 and $300 to get this cool Slan team painted that he had. Jeez. His favorite team's the Raiders. He had them painted in Raider colors. He had the positionals different colored, like poison frogs and stuff. So he was super excited until all these leaks came out for Blood Bowl 2020, and there's no sign of any type of Slan team. So like, he's like, I better take this team because I might never get to play them in their pure format ever again. And I was like, yeah, that's not a bad decision.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure the NAF will keep him around somehow.
The NAF can't hang on to everything forever, man.
Yeah, but that's a beloved team. There's no reason not to. It takes one thing to change it.
I'm all for it too. So I'm not saying that, but it's hard for me to say like, I'm excited to get away from some of these rules just to see, and then holler that they need to keep that, you know,
Yeah.
as well. So those were our teams that we decided to do. We tried to talk Robert into playing. He's like, nope, I'm tagging along. I'm not playing. And that's what I got for you. So let's take a break, and then let's come back and I'll go day by day on what we did.
Sounds good.
The Windy City has always been driven by an unshakable optimism and can-do attitude. The Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which destroyed half the city, was seized upon as an opportunity for the metropolis to reinvent itself. What followed was the biggest building boom in U.S. history, and a skyline that is almost beyond beautiful.
We're back, so why don't we go ahead and start with day one of your travel?
So I told you up until about, 8-9 days, it wasn't 100% confirmed.
Right.
It worked out where me and Robert were both actually, the plan was as if we could to leave Wednesday evening, like 4 o'clock or so after we get off work, and try to go as far as we can. I don't like taking this trip all in one giant day.
Yeah.
I guess that's the old man in me. Or I prefer the slow roll in the fact of like, hey, look at that shop. Let's go over and visit, because we're not on a super giant schedule.
Sure.
So we got fortunate enough that we both had that Wednesday off. So we left that morning. We met over at Gary's place about 9:30. Robert was running late.
No.
But see, we're smart. I know my buddy Robert better than anybody, and we figured he would be late. That's why we said 9:30, because our goal was to leave at 10. He showed up at 9:55, and we left before 10.
There you go.
So we left Oklahoma, and of course, the most painful part of the trip is to get our butts out of Oklahoma, going through Tulsa and up that way through Missouri.
Paying your $11 through the tolls.
All the tolls, yeah, God. We took Gary's vehicle. I don't know what, actually, I'm not a car guy, so I don't like look at cars and go, oh, that's a nice this or that. It's road smooth. I mean, at times I kept teasing him about like, are we ever going to get there, Grandma? And we were actually going like 74 miles per hour, and
Right.
It felt like we were going 60. He didn't drive as fast as I do, but we also didn't get any tickets, and we were never in any danger to get one. So that's good. We headed up that way. Our plan was to go to Springfield and stop in Springfield. Do you remember when we did, what's the 3-headed tournament we did before?
Chimera Cup.
Chimera Cup. You remember how we went up there early and we went to that Cosmic Comics, which was like an old school 1980s comic shop with lots of long boxes and back issues.
The one that was like one building but 3 or 4 rooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We were planning on hitting that comic shop and maybe something else. So we get there, and like when we checked like a week before, it said it would be open on Wednesday. Opened at like 1 o'clock Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we saw the sign for Springfield was about like 30 minutes to an hour away, we started checking, and Google said that they were closed and only open on like Saturdays.
Ugh.
So that sucked.
Did you call him up? Because probably just goes to that guy's cell phone. And he'd be like, hey, we want to come in. And he'd be like, okay.
We did. No answer.
Oh, okay.
So we went to Nameless Comics, which is another store me and you went to. I don't know how to describe it, except it was a game comic shop. It was improved. Like, I enjoyed being there this time more than the time me and you went.
That was the one with the game room in the back?
Yes.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. He had a whole like independent comic section for like indie people, and stuff like, the self-published guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we had a good time. I found a few items that probably wouldn't have normally bought, but when you're on vacation, you feel like, I can splurge. I will say almost every place in Missouri didn't seem to care if you wore a mask or not. And my experience was about 70% of the people did not wear masks. I asked about, do you remember the comic shop we went to that I bought all the little WWE little toys that were like in a fishbowl for $1 each? Do you remember that one? We found that's where we found the Blood Bowl blank covers, sketch covers.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was
Comic Cave or Cave
comic,
Comics or
something like that. Yeah.
okay. They shut down. I
Oh,
thought they were a nice store. They went out of business. So because I asked the guy at Nameless, I go, I know you don't want me to tell you don't want to tell me your competitors, but I said about 3 or 4 years ago we were here, and I just named some places. And he goes, "Oh, that place shut down." And I googled it to double check, and he was right. Do you remember the comic shop that I found that Care Bears issue in, the 25th anniversary cover? That had all the little miscellaneous sports collectibles and toys, and it was like a garage sale.
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, that place is called Rublers, I guess. They moved locations, and we went there, and looked around all the stuff. I found a 1986 package of GI Joe party hats,
Nice.
and it said $5, so I went up and I paid for it and got it for $5. And then I realized when we got in the car that the other side of the package said $10. So I easily could have took that up there, and the guy could have like flipped it over and said $10. I probably still would have bought it, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with 1986 packaged GI Joe party hats. But the 1986 kid in me wanted those so bad that I went ahead and bought them, because I was like, I don't want to get back and tell Steve about what I saw and then not buy it.
No, those are cool. Yeah.
So pretty neat little thing to pick up. Robert found in the dollar boxes, he found one of the McFarlane drawn issues of Amazing Spider-Man, the Christmas one.
Wow.
I think it was like 314 or 317. Anyways, he claims that according to one website, it's $100 book.
No.
We checked eBay, and it was anywhere between 40 to 20, but he still got for $1. It was like in mint condition, near mint condition. It was spectacular condition. But he actually didn't have it, so he was just happy that somehow he missed that one way back in the day. So he was just joy to find it.
That's cool.
Let's see. From there, trying to think if I can remember. From there, we went ahead and we were going to go to the place that we did the Chimera Cup at, but they said that they had an employee that got COVID or something. I don't know if this is true. This is one store telling me. Maybe they didn't want us to go. They had to shut down for a couple weeks or something like that because of COVID. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we didn't go there. So we hit the road and we traveled for a while. Our plan was to hit Hicks Barbecue in Cuba, Missouri. And we hit that place.
How was it?
I'm sorry, we had to stop in between there.
Okay.
That was our goal, is to get to Cuba, Missouri, for barbecue. On the way there, about 30 minutes from there, so we stopped, and one of us had to pee, so we stopped at a gas station, got gassed up, and there was this little tiny shop, I don't know, a tiny strip mall, maybe had 3 or 4 little storefronts in it. It was wooden. One of them was I think nails or something, and the other was vacant, and there was one called the Game Shack. And we went into this place, and it was video games, not, I was hoping it'd be card games and stuff like that.
Right, like an old school.
It was
one.
old school Nintendo, Sega, all old school stuff. Now, if I was into that stuff, this would have been heaven. It had a very old feel to it. It was maybe, this little strip mall was made in 1985. It had wood paneling, stuff like that. And stuff was just all out, so you could see it. It felt very garage sale-ish in some way, but the guy was a gentleman named Mike who ran it. Super nice guy. I think that guy he was actually closed, and he saw us pull up, and we're like, oh, they're actually closed. And he came to the door and he opened it up and said, come on in, guys. And he's like, I'm moving back into this place, so like everything's kind of messy. So, but let me know if you need anything. And then like, very trusting guy, because he just left us alone.
Yeah.
There was some comics in there on the walls, which is kind of funny, like NFL Super Pro and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if any of them were worth anything, but they had them like tacked to the wall, like comic stores did back in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of cool nostalgic video games. Like I said, if I would have had an old system, I probably would have looked longer and probably just bought something to support him. I did find they had some little toys and stuff. I found a little toy thing that I wanted. Robert and Gary left. We said thanks, and I found this little toy at the last second. I was like, hey, I'd like to buy this. And I couldn't find him, so I had to go in the back, and eventually I found him. He was like putting up stuff. He even had like this one room where it had like a really comfy couch, and it had like VCRs. So you could watch, like, I guess, old VHS movies. Because he had like a library of VHS movies there too.
It had
like
a couch and it had a video camera and it had a desk.
No, this guy was really a good dude. You could just tell. This was like the one nice guy in one of those video game role-playing games that you can always go to and heal up. And he's the guy who goes, stay for a while. Would you like something to eat? The only place you can heal up in the forest,
Yeah.
That's what this guy was. I asked him, like, I said, hey, man, how much do I owe you for this? And none of his stuff was marked. I mean, I guess he really was just moving in there. And he goes, oh, he's like, man, I can't charge you for that. I said, you sure can. It's your store. He goes, no, just take it. And I said, I'm going to give you something. And he said, I can't charge you for that. And I said, well, you need to stay in business. I said, I'd like next time I roll through here for you to stay in business. He's like, I just can't charge you for that. That's just such a small item. And I was like, well, works. Then we're gonna have a problem here. And he's like, how about this? He's like, you go to church anywhere? And I said, well, I haven't been to church in a while because of all the COVID stuff. I said, but me and my girlfriend attend Life Church when we go. And he goes, why don't you do this? Next time you go, why don't you put $5 in the bucket? And he said, and that would make me happy. He said, got your word on that? And I said, you got it. And
so you got something for free. Nice.
No, I actually didn't. I didn't know the next time I'm ever going to, go in person. So when we got in the car, I got on their website and I donated $5 in his name. And then I actually went and gave him a review, which I never do on like the Google reviews, when you see reviews. I didn't say like he gave me a free item and I donated $5. I didn't say that, but like, this area looked like a super small town area. And I don't know if he'll be back in business with the items he had.
Right.
But he just seemed like a really genuine guy. And like, he refused. I had a $5 bill in my hand and he could have easily just took the $5 for this little thing that maybe worth 50 cents and I would have bought it. So it was just, it was one of those things where like you felt like you were in like some weird movie, and as we pulled away, the store disappeared. It was like all a test, like to see how you are.
You get like faith +1.
Yeah, exactly. It was like something weird from Gloomhaven where like, you see this oasis. Oh, it's a little shop. The guy wants to just give you some potions. No, I'm definitely going to give him something.
Do you take it or do you give him money?
So anyways, I can't tell you the town that was in. It's called the Game Shack. I think it's called Mike's Game Shack. And we went on to Cuba, Missouri. We stopped at Hicks Barbecue. The barbecue, after having some really good barbecue here in Oklahoma over the last couple of years, Hicks Barbecue is just okay.
It feels like it keeps getting worse every time we go.
I don't think it's worse. I think it really depends what you order. I thought my food was good. I wouldn't say it was amazing good, but I was glad we stopped and ate there. Once again, I think they had fabulous sauces. I got pulled pork, which I think I didn't like from there anyways before, but I thought it was pretty good. Robert and Gary were happy with their food. Our waitress, it was near closing time. It was probably 8 o'clock when we were eating, and it really felt like they didn't have enough staff that night, or maybe they let them go, or they were cleaning up. So our waitress was kind of scattered, and that didn't help when you want drink refills after traveling. But I
Right.
mean, she might have just had a bad day. So I bought some barbecue sauce from them. I was glad we went there. Remember the they probably don't want me to say this. Do you remember the photo that was in the bathroom, Steve?
The questionable one?
The questionable photo
Yes.
that when we went there for the first time, we took pictures because we were like, how the hell is this thing up?
It was
Right?
quite racist.
It was, I actually think it was a
But-
good piece of art that was very
It was of its time.
racist of its time,
Yeah.
for sure.
It wasn't like they were trying to be racist. It was just more of a, this probably doesn't fly anymore.
Right. Anyways, that picture no longer is there.
That's good.
Yeah. So like since the last time we went, a couple years back, things have changed. That's good, right?
Or somebody bought it for their own house.
Let's not go into that, right? But that's what I thought too. I was like, some racist bought that picture.
I've been looking for this one.
So then we headed off. We ended up staying in St. Louis. We stayed in a very, very nice hotel
So
in
Gary picked
downtown
it out.
St. Louis. Huh?
Downtown St. Louis?
Yeah, it wasn't my choice, bro.
Well, no, of course not. That's all Gary, but downtown?
Downtown.
Jeez. Okay.
We were like, we were close to the water, the river, downtown. It was a very nice hotel. But I would question the motives when we were at a stoplight and a long, long, long parade of cars that was all Latino. Had flags out and they were hooping and hollering. And I don't know if they were celebrating something or we were about to be in the middle of a protest because it was just the perception was like, this is a lot of noise coming our way. What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And, but I think it must've been, I don't know. It was weird because it was like 10 o'clock at night more than anything.
Was there a sports game that finished or something?
I don't know.
Because I know that basketball was going. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was very Latino. I mean, Mexican flags out and anyways, it doesn't matter. Whatever they're celebrating, obviously didn't make the news or anything. So good for them. Yeah, nice little hotel. We stayed the night there. We got up that morning. We drove back about 10 miles. So now we're on Thursday morning. We drove back about 10 miles to go to the kolache factory, the only one in St. Louis. And we got some delicious kolaches. And I'm telling you, that food is some of heaven's best. I love those. Nothing better than like bread stuffed anything.
Need to get Gary to invest in one.
He's already looked into it several times.
It takes a lot.
It takes a whole lot, and he can't convince him and his other friends to do that.
Yeah, I
He's
understand.
100% in. The doctors at his job are not. But I think I'd do gangbusters here in Oklahoma. But I could be wrong. So we headed up to Chicago. It's really funny because I'm reminded every year on that trip to Chicago, like I'm ready to get out of Oklahoma just because I've been through these roads, feels like hundreds of times, and the scenery is kind of boring to me. And then when I get into Missouri, it's green, and I'm like, this is pretty. There's kind of some mountainous areas that not super high, but you get what I'm saying. There's hills and peaks, and
It's not just flat.
not, there's green trees, all those things. And then as soon as you cross the border from Missouri to Illinois, it feels like something out of a cartoon where you just cross the tracks and everything's different. And Gary was like, holy hell, this trip is this is terrible. There's nothing but corn. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, this is kind of the part that I always forget. And this is probably the most boring trip. And of course, that same road that they've narrowed down to one lane, they're still doing that. I mean, that's been going on for what, 10 years now, it feels like.
It seems like.
Ironically enough, we ran into 0 cops that I saw.
That's odd.
The guys introduced me to a game called Retro Bowl for the phone. It's a little game app. It's like almost like old school Tecmo Bowl, where you don't play defense, but you play offense, and you get to manage your team and stuff like that. And you can play little games in like 5 minutes. I highly recommend it if you like football. You can even like customize teams. Like I took out the Jets and put in, because I didn't want 2 New York teams, so I took out the New York Jets and changed them to the Atlantic City team. And then I took out the Chargers, and we have an Oklahoma City team in my league.
I wouldn't mind that in real life.
Huh?
I said I wouldn't really mind that in real life either.
It's a pretty fun little game, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because hopefully some people like football. You're the coach. You can name yourself. You can change like how long of quarters you want to play. You can change like if you want easy, medium, hard, or if you want it to like kind of do a random thing where it learns from you and stuff like that. You can hire staff. You can have meetings with people. You can chew people out. After every game, there's some type of scenario like so-and-so got pulled over for a speeding ticket. Do you fine him or ignore it? And your decisions can affect your team one way or another. You have morale. You can change your team colors if you want. You can leave for different coaching jobs if you want. You start off on the last week of the season as the head coach got fired and you're the interim coach. And then you play a game and it walks you through the stuff, and then they hire you for the next season. So you can randomly get a team, or you can pick your favorite team. So you start in that location, and after seasons, it says these jobs are vacant, and stuff like that. You can hire free agents, all this stuff. People retire. It's actually a really addictive, fun game. That morning on the way to Illinois, I played a whole season and off and on for about 3 to 4 hours. And in my first full season, I won a retro bowl with Detroit. But to be honest, I hired this big old expensive free agent. I just hand the ball off to him and he busted it up. And I just ran the ball like 90% of the time. He had over 3,000 yards, won league MVP. He had 48 touchdowns. I was awesome.
Whatever wins.
And then, anyways, that's Retro Bowl. Look it up. We get to Illinois or Chicago. We find our hotel. By this point, we kind of got up a little bit late.
You're staying at the Rosemont Hotel?
Yeah, we are staying at the Rosemont. It was weird. You didn't drive in last year, right? Because you flew.
No, we flew.
Okay, so it was really weird because like I expected to see things I'm familiar with, like going to Palatine.
Right.
And we took, a different path where I thought traffic would be like awful. It never was super awful. It was weird. It was like, I've been to Chicago all these years, but I've never seen this part of Chicago. But truth is, we didn't see a lot of Chicago, right?
So I was say we saw like 2-3%.
So because we slept in, we didn't set our alarms and stuff that morning like we said we were. We rolled in. I want to say like 3 or 4
on Thursday.
Maybe. On Thursday, I think we got there maybe at 4.
Okay.
4 to 5, and then we checked into the hotel. We then decided, of course, we went Giordano's Pizza. I thought it'd be early enough where I could eat pizza sauce without it just killing me. So we went and had Giordano's. Wonderful salad. Oh, their Caesar salad's amazing. Like I might like that almost more than their pizza. I mean, it was really delicious. Then we got a Hawaiian pizza, Canadian bacon, pineapple, which I know everybody grosses out about, but that's all right. It was pretty delicious, like normal. The first slice is amazing. The second slice is still pretty good. And then about halfway through the third slice, if you make it that far, you're like, I've had enough.
Why did I do this to me?
So we ate our food, and we already decided, since we shared a pizza, that we weren't gonna. We were trying not to overeat, so we could, because we found an Oberweis in this area. Um,
How far away from the hotel was it? Because I thought there wasn't any close.
Oberweis?
Yeah.
There's probably nothing close, but wherever we drove to, Gary was driving, Robert was directing.
Okay.
I think it was about another 6 or 7 miles from the Giordano's. I could be wrong on that. There was a Half Price Books in the area, which led us also there, because Robert and Gary love Half Price Books. Robert loves Half Price Books. So we did a lot of looking at Half Price Books. I'm pretty sure in Springfield we might have stopped at one too, but I can't remember. We went to this Half Price Books in this area. I think we hit 2 that night, but at the end of it, we hit a Oberweis, and went in there and had some delicious ice cream. The guys thought it was some of the best ice cream they've ever had.
Was it just like the other one?
No, it was set up a little bit different, because this was in a more
upscale.
Yeah, I'd say it. I made the comment of, "Wow, this area is very white," because it really was. It was. I think Robert was the darkest person in any of those stores that we were at.
Huh.
It was just laid out a little bit different, but it's weird because they took a lot of the tables out of Oberweis and stuff too, so people would, social distance.
Yeah.
They still had all their milk and all that stuff too, so it was part of another building too, so it wasn't a standalone Oberweis. We got our ice cream. The guys really enjoyed it. Like I said, they loved it. Jeffro claims that there's another place up there that makes Oberweis look not very good. So,
yeah, he said that last year and wasn't able to get to it.
Yeah, so I was hoping we'd make it to that, but we just never did because of schedule wise.
Well, that's what we'll do next year.
After that, we went ahead and headed back to the hotel room. We hung out. Robert was doing some sketches because he was going to sell his comic at the tables, and he wanted to do some sketching and stuff, and maybe sell some of his artwork. And so me and Gary decided we brought some games. We decided we couldn't get the NFL game on our hotel TV because they don't have the NFL ticket or whatever NFL network. So we went down to the bar. There was nobody down there. And I took some of these things called Jumpstart packs from Magic, where you take each pack has 20 cards. So you just open 2 packs and smash them together and you have a deck.
Oh, okay.
So we played a couple of games of Magic the Gathering down there with sealed things because I had some packs of those. One game was actually rather boring as we opened a lot of the same colors. So it was like mirror matches of boring green. And then we had another match that went fairly quick because I had double red. So that was a lot of direct damage. But we had fun playing that and watching the Browns game. And then we came up to our room. We played a game of Dice Throne. If you don't know what this game is, it's you pick a character, and kind of a Yahtzee style format. You want to roll some dice. You get 3 chances at it to make like some type of combo move. Best thing I can think of is kind of like a Street Fighter type game. In the essence of it's one-on-one fighting each other.
Yeah. But
I guess
dice.
you could have multiple people, but it was just one-on-one for our thing. So he taught me that. It was really fun. I recommend it if you like that kind of stuff. Obviously we went to bed. We got up the next morning. We went to Walker Brothers. Remember that place?
Mm-hmm.
The fancy breakfast place.
This is a different one than we went to, I'm assuming.
It was a different location than we went to. I can't tell you these locations, but
it's fine.
We went to Walker Brothers. I once again had the blue crab eggs Benedict. It was amazing. The guys got their food. Robert got a baked omelet, which was really weird looking, but really tasted delicious. I never even thought about baking eggs. It was almost like a quiche without the crust, if you're into quiches.
Guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense when I say it that way, but it was weird. Everybody loved their food. They thought it was great. They was like, great choice. I wish that place was closer to the hotel to like get breakfast in the morning, but it
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't. We hit some more half price books, the ones that we could find. We hit a place called Dreamland Comics for the comic store. We plan on going to another one called Atlas. We decided not to even go to that after we, you know, shopped around. But we went to Dreamland Comics. It was a pretty cool comic store. I found some things like I was kind of looking for. Remember this old Battle Book comics?
Battle book?
You probably don't remember them. There are comics that were almost like a game. They look like comics, but somehow you played a game where like the two characters fought each other.
Doesn't sound familiar, no.
Okay. Well, I was just talking about those to somebody at work like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, if I ever see those, I'm gonna pick them up. And he had a couple of them in the back issue, so I picked them up. Also found some cool trades that I've wanted. They were half price. We got to watch him. Some lady came in and offered him a Green Lantern #1 from like the 90s. I don't want to confuse anybody.
1990.
1990. This is not from the 1950s. It was Green Lantern #1 cover art by Pat Broderick in a framed. It was framed up, matted. It even had a copy of issue #1 with it. It was pretty amazing. He got it for a steal. The lady left happy. You know, I posted about it. I know people said like, "Oh, that guy screwed her over," and he probably did, but it's kind of his business, right? I mean, like, we were happy for Robert when he got a comic supposedly worth $20 to $100 for $1.
Yeah.
So, you know, he lucked out. I went back in and I offered him like $600 for it, and he refused. So Gary said the plan was to take it to an auction. He paid like $130 or $135 for it.
Yeah, and you posted it and everyone got into a little discussion about it. The problem I have with any type of original art is I just don't know if it's truly like the pencils. Is it the ink?
It was the ink page. It was 100%. The pencils were there, and then it was inked.
Okay.
So
Well,
it was the original artwork.
If it's the original art, then yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. But she went to another store that offered her $100. So like, either a lot of people were trying to rip her off, or, I mean, hell, I don't know. I wonder, like, if I would have overheard it and said, "I'll give you $600 for it," if that guy would have counter offered me, because he might not have the money. You know, with COVID and stuff, he might not have the extra money to offer.
Yeah, but you find the money for that.
Right. I understand. And to be really honest, if they were negotiating in the store, I wouldn't have opened my big mouth and stepped in there. I wouldn't have done that either, because that's not, I know everybody thinks that's in me, but it's also, she didn't come to me trying to sell the comics. She came to the store. You know?
I've done that one time and it worked out fine.
Well,
it was basically someone selling stuff at vintage stock. I was like, look, because they were like statues or something, and they had put it up there and then they walked away, and I'm like, look, if you want, you can take them to this other store and I'm sure they give you a lot more money. Oh, okay, well, I'll check that out. Okay. Like, if I had any interest in them, I would have, but.
Right. So we saw that happen. Then we went and we were happy with our purchases. So, I mean, that was cool. I told the guy to only buy these trades for him because they had stickers on the back that I couldn't get off. So I said, if you can get these stickers off cleanly, but there's no sticky residue and it doesn't damage the book, I'll buy them from you. And he goes, deal. He said, give me 10 minutes. So he was really nice about that. And you couldn't tell at all. So he did a good job. He said lighter fluid's the key, to get just a dab of lighter fluid on a napkin or something, takes that sticky off.
Yeah.
So then we had Portillo's, because I wanted the guys to eat that weekend. I guess they thought I meant at that moment, because I wasn't really that hungry. So, but we stopped at Portillo's. And really, I don't know. It was far enough away where I don't know if, like, it would have been convenient at any other time, anyways.
We went, if it was the place that was,
Near a grocery store.
yeah, down the way and then to the right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we went
probably
there
not.
last year.
Yeah, it probably wasn't super far, but same time, I just didn't know.
It was a lot farther in the shuttle from the hotel, especially after we get out and they're like, good luck getting back. We're done for the day.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like, what?
So we ate that Portello's. The guys really enjoyed that because, like, when you hear about it, you think like, oh, hot dogs and this and that. I got an Italian beef. I didn't get anything else. Gary and them got their Italian beefs, fries. Robert got pasta for some stupid reason.
I didn't even know they had pasta.
Exactly. And I think he was happy with his decision until he saw us pull out those Italian beefs. And then he was like, whoa, those look really good.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what they're known for.
And then I talked the guys into getting a cake shake and a caramel salted shake. And I knew they wouldn't drink it all. I got to drink just a little bit to make me happy. Anyways, we had a good time with that. We went over to the grocery store, got a few groceries for our cooler, and for breakfast the next day, like some donuts, bananas, stuff like that. And then we went back to the hotel. We relaxed for a little while in our hotel room until it was time to go play sevens. And I think this would be a good stopping point. We'll come back. We'll talk about sevens. I can tell you what I took. And then we can talk about all that and then get into actual Chaos Cup.
Sounds good.
Start your visit in the Loop, the central business district encircled by the L, Chicago's elevated train line. The streets within the Loop are a showcase of architecture, from the world's first high-rises to the cloud-piercing towers of today.
If you made it this long, I'm going to finally start talking about Blood Bowl.
No, you're not. You're going to be talking about sevens.
Well, a variant of Blood Bowl called Sevens.
Now, we have discussed sevens before. We know people enjoy it. We are not those people.
No.
I've played a couple of games, and it's just not to my liking. If I'd rather be playing something else. And you still chose to play.
Well, so in going up there, Gary's first time, he was like all about like, well, I said, there is this option because I didn't want him to see it being played and go, why didn't we do that? And we decided to play.
Gary does not have 9 Blood Bowl games in him.
Right. Or, yeah, 9. And you're right about that. I don't think Scott ever has 9 Blood Bowl games in him either. Yeah. So going into this, I didn't really want to play. I even told Gary at any point we can go down there and get our dice because we registered. And if you don't feel like playing, we walk away. And at any point during the night, if you don't feel like playing anymore, we walk away. Because this whole Chaos Cup is weird because you're trying to social distance and yet you want to hang out. And even if it's just with Robert and Gary, I don't get to go hang out with my buddies and have conversations and stuff if we don't go out to eat or hang out in our room playing games or anything. So it was just odd. So I go down there and nobody's there to like the Florida guys. A lot of the Florida guys are there. They came up with 1 million people at Chaos Cup. I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, it was 10 to 12.
Jeez.
And I guess Doombeard Dave's an honorary member, they were saying, because he's moving to Florida or something. I don't know. That's their business. I was like, where's Jim? And they go, oh, Jim's not going to be here. And now it's after 7 o'clock. And I was like, who's running this then? And it's like, oh, Brian Two's going to take over running it. And he's finishing up some board game. Long story short, I don't remember what time we started, but it wasn't on time. We originally thought, according to, I think it's the NAF entry, it says starts at 6 o'clock, and I believe the Facebook entry starts at 7, or vice versa. Anyways, we were under the impression we started at 6 and found out like hours before that it starts at 7, and then we were told, I'll just be down there by 6:30 or so. And then we were there early, and then it still didn't start.
Yeah.
A lot of people were already in their liquor at this time, at this
Yeah.
point. I believe me and Gary and just a few other people were the only people wearing masks.
I
And
thought they
that's
were
not,
required.
what's that?
See, this is what bugs me is I thought it was required for Chaos Cup.
Um, it is for Chaos Cup.
And is this not a Chaos Cup event?
This is not. And I was told that I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I'm gonna try to rephrase what I thought was said to me. It's like, don't worry, tomorrow I'm running it, and it'll be very strict and cut and black and white. You're either wearing your mask or you're going home, type deal. This one's run by other people, so it's their event. And
Yeah. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of having masks when you have a whole night of people being drunk, getting together, laughing, expelling particulates in the air, and not having masks.
right. As we start this, once again, I want to make it super clear that if this sounds like Scott the Grouchy Old Man, it's really not. But at the same time, I don't mean any one thing as a personal dig to anybody this whole weekend that I played, because I really do think I played good people. Um, so it's nothing personal, but I'm going to try to be as honest as I can. Again, I didn't want to play sevens. I played one game of sevens in my past with a local up at the store. While I enjoyed my time, it didn't make me like crave sevens enough to like go find out the real rules and look at the kickoff table or anything like that. I kind of came into this pretty blind. If you need to know what I took, I was determined to play with. I have some little models that are like little Ninja Turtles, and they're like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, except if they were a turtle. So they're very small models with like a little headband on and stuff.
Okay.
I got these cute C models at some comic convention, and I bought like 16 of them. And at the time, I thought this is way before J Bones Frogs.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this is going to be my slam team because they're ninjas, so they jump. This will be fun, right? And I was just going to paint the bases different colors. I paid to get them painted. I've never used them, so I was determined to use them for sevens, because sevens is you only get to pick 4 positionals of something, of the positional pieces, and all the rest have to be linemen. So I was determined to either these were going to be dark elves, or they were going to be Norse, or Amazons. And after thinking about it, I didn't want to play Norse twice. But then it came down to Norse or Amazons. I didn't want to bother with the Dark Elves because I couldn't get an extra player because it was too expensive if I went 4 Blitzers. And so I just asked Jennifer, I was like, when you see this team, are they going to be super dodgy or super hitty? And she goes, well, they're little baby turtles. They're going to be dodgy. You should play Amazons. She said, but you won't listen to me anyways because you're going to second guess it. And I laughed and I said, no, I'll do exactly what you said. And I made up an Amazon roster. Now I come to find out that like Amazons and Skaven, I guess are the people to play, because Amazons, you have all this built-in dodge block, right?
Yeah.
Or you have this built-in dodge. Well, it's fine if it works, right?
That's
Unless
usually
you play somebody who rolls nothing but pals.
Yeah, it's just like having a whole team of nothing but foul appearance. Like, it should work, but it doesn't.
Round 1, I played Eric Nyberger from Florida. I played his Norse team, and right off the bat, Nuffle was telling me, like, you didn't do any research on this, and you don't want to be here, so I'm going to make you pay. Sevens, you don't start off next to each other on kickoffs. You have space in between. And there's like on the kickoff table, there's a thing called charge, which is just as bad as blitz, because you can foreseeably catch your own kickoff, not even being behind the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. He kicked off to me. He caught his own kickoff. It was turn 1, and he was already in a defensive spot where I couldn't really do much to him. So sevens, there's no re-rolls. Unless you have built-in re-rolls, there's no leadership. So it's all, you could roll lights out, or a 1's going to kill you, like really, really kill you.
Yeah.
And not just kind of kill you. It really forces you to do all your moves first, or in my case with Amazons, with the dodginess. Like, do you take a chance that you roll a 2 and a 2, or do you go do something else first? Long story short, I got my butt kicked. He caught the kickoff, he scored. Eventually, he didn't murder me. I murdered myself. I was in situations where all I needed was a go for it or a dodge to like get to his ball carrier, and I failed everything. My dice were crap. And when I fell down, I made sure to casualty myself every time in that game.
That was nice of you.
I think I had 3 or 4 people in the casualty box. I think I didn't write notes to this, but all of them I think were by my own volition. I was about 50% on dodging.
Jeez.
Which that's what you should be if you're playing normal humans, right? A whole team of human linemen should be 50%.
Not people with dodge.
Right. So he had a Norse team and he kicked my butt. I lost 2-0. Game 2, I played. After every game, I'm going like, and even before I was like, you want to leave or stay? Well, I'll just stay. So
now,
we're staying in it.
How long did it take to play?
Honestly, not long once we got going. I think the whole tournament was about 3 hours.
Okay.
Because I think I think he set the clock for 45 minutes.
Okay.
So it was quick. I think. I can't even tell you for sure. It wasn't long enough, and I'll tell you that eventually. Played round 2, played Doombeard Dave. Of course, he had chaos. He had the skills to give him piling on and stuff like that.
Was he playing his music?
What's that?
Was he playing his music?
Of course he was.
Yeah.
And I told you, we've had this discussion personally many times on like tactics to maybe send your opponent on tilt that people think are like, no, that's that guy's gimmick, or that's just how he is. And this is not aimed at Doombeard Dave, because there's about 10 other people I could name off before Doombeard Dave.
The first Chaos Cup we went to, remember, someone was blaring music.
Yeah, they were
and it
playing
was
music.
Distracting to us tables away.
Right. There's been playing. This is not the first time I've encountered somebody playing music. This is not there's the guy who has to pee 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
There's the guy who sings songs. There's the guy who points at ones. There's the guys who do weird little annoying things to try to send you on tilt. And they're just masked in this, like, no, that's how this guy is. This is how player X is. He's always been this way. Tom Rummery's always grumpy. It's his gimmick. And it's like, okay, well.
He always yells out racial epithets. No big deal.
Right. So me and you have talked about this before. Me and you, after that first Chaos Cup, said if we ever run tournaments, blaring music guy's not going to be allowed to blare music.
100%.
We've also said that's why we have those rules of you. I really missed the sharing dice rule. Now I understand why we don't have it this year, but there's so many matchups where like I said, I don't know why. I feel like it's better when we share dice, and when the dice just fall somebody else's way, I go, we shared dice. I can't even complain.
This brings me to an idea that I had where at tournaments now, we could give out block dice and make people use those block dice.
You could.
Because then it's all equal. Or we invest in Pop-O-Matics. We make our own Pop-O-Matics, and then all I have to do is push it, and everyone uses the same dice.
Wow, that's actually interesting. Anyways, yes, he was playing his music, and what have I told you before? I said, if I ever play Doombeard Dave, I know nobody in the world's going to tell him he can't play his music. And probably if I asked him, he'd probably tell me no, because he needs his good vibes because he believes in the miracle
power of Sade.
The power of Sade, which I heard several times that night.
Yeah.
So I told you,
he is a nice guy. I will. We're bad mouthing him, but he is a nice guy. Have nothing against him.
I'm not bad mouthing him.
I'll bad mouth him, but
no, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
People have things when they play, and I don't have to like them.
Well, if I sound like I'm complaining about anybody, I I didn't leave the tournament saying like I'd like to send this guy through a wood chipper, and that's usually the sign of like I don't like you at all. I'd never like to see you live. So I don't have that at all. But I would question like playing music at the table to try to get somebody to tilt. Might be a thing. Maybe not. Maybe that's not the real motive. Anyways, I always told you like if I ever play him, I'm gonna play my own music.
Yeah.
So it was funny at our table. We had Sade playing, and we had like Hootie and the Blowfish and Darius Rucker's country music playing at the same time. And long story short, we had a tie 1-1. But he got a bunch of casualties from me. So once again, the casualty award in even sevens ran through Scott. And I must say, this is one of those cases where I wish we could have shared dice because I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But I only remember one time where he did not roll a POW. And I mean the POW. The one thing you can't stop in Blood Bowl. He might roll 2 dice, 3 dice, or whatever. He rolled double skulls once, and I swear he rolled a POW in with a combination of something else every time on Amazons.
Jeez.
It did not matter that I had dodge, and it did not matter I had block dodge. I got my butt kicked, like physically, and I was very happy that I pulled out a tie on that. I don't know if Dave cared about the tie because I thought Dave did casualties and tried to win, and then talking to somebody else, they say he always goes just for casualties. So maybe me getting a tie is not as impressive as I thought. I walked away like being like happy that I tied him because I was like, yeah, at least I showed him I could tie him, you know, like this. And then other people told me later, like, no, he goes just for casualties. He don't care about winning. So I went, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I tied. So I still was telling Gary, like, anytime you want to leave, we can. And we didn't. So round 3, I played Michael Haley from Colorado. And he had Amazons as well as me. And he said he was looking forward to this match because he wanted a revenge match against me from the last time we played Blood Bowl. And in my head, I was thinking, but this is sevens. This is different.
Exactly. It's not the same.
But we had the mirror match of Amazons versus Amazons. Ken, remember Ken Bergman?
Mm-hmm.
Bergen or whatever?
Yeah.
He sat with us. They were drinking their drinks pretty heavily. Again, I'm going to say some things, but I have no venom towards Michael Haley. And I honestly, this is sevens. It's round 3. I'm just ready to get this over with. You know, we could have both shook hands and moved on or bumped elbows and just said, let's just call it and we'll roll off. And I'd have been happy with that. I was done playing sevens. I wasn't enjoying myself, and it wasn't because of the results. I would have rather done something else Friday night.
Yeah, that's the problem with sevens, as I know a lot of people do love it. A lot of people really think it's fun. I don't enjoy it, and I would rather just be playing something else.
If the next day we were playing a 3-round tournament or a 4-round tournament, my whole opinion might be different.
Yeah, or if I went to play just that, that's fine. But yeah, I didn't play it last year, and I haven't played it any year because I've just...
Part of it's on me. I should have done some more research about sevens because I wasn't familiar with the kickoff table at all. I didn't even know how to kick off. So a lot of that's on me. So I will take that as well. Again, I was only going to play sevens if Gary wanted to play sevens. So I played Michael Haley. Michael had lots of drinks, like almost everybody in that room did. Everybody, I think, offered me a drink, maybe, except Doombeer went and got one. I'm sure if I said pick me up a drink, he would have brought it. We played. We did not get to finish our game. Again, I really don't care, but I'm going to say this in case you're listening. If you're that person, or if you are worried about the experience you give somebody else. It had some goofy rules to it where your guy could get the stupidity skill. In theory, if we would have finished our turns, that game probably should have ended in a tie. But again, my opponent had several drinks. Very, very, very often it was I'm going to dodge away. He'd grab his block dice, throw it in there, shake it. He's using the dice cup, hit it down, and goes, "Pal, did I grab the wrong dice?" That played out the whole entire game. After they called time, we finished it. I had the ball. I was the only guy close to the end zone. If we would have finished our last two turns, not saying I would have tied it, but I don't know how I wouldn't have tied it. Even at one point, Michael thought I had it too, but then we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Even Ken, who was watching, goes, "If that guy would have maybe picked up the right dice, you guys could have finished this game and you would have got a tie." And I said, "Yeah, but we're pretty close to the last table at sevens. I don't really care."
This is one thing that I learned at World Cup, and I've known before, but I really implemented at World Cup. If you are being drunk at the table, then that gives me full right to treat you like a child. And if that means that I have to tell you, speed shit up so that we can get done, because I'm not here to goof off. I'm here to play. I'm not going to feel bad about doing that.
If we weren't on the bottom or second to bottom table, and if I cared about my ranking,
right, yeah.
I would have said something. I like Michael.
Yeah, and it's nothing against Michael. It's just I've played people like that, and especially at World Cup where I played a couple drunk people, and they were overly friendly and taking the time. I'm like,
sure.
Look, I like you. You're a nice guy. Can we just play the game and get it done? We're running out of time.
Right.
And then they get a little bit mad and pissy, and I'm like, I don't care.
Well, and look, almost every Chaos Cup I drink on Saturday night and become, huggy, friendly Scott. So I can't say anything too.
After the game.
You don't encounter, you get grumpy Blood Bowl, Scott. You don't get happy. I can stand up like Kane, Scott, when I'm playing in the middle of a Blood Bowl game.
Right.
So overall, Gary finished his game. He went 2-1. He finished, I think, 4th. We didn't win any awards. It's funny in retrospect looking back, and this is like foreshadowing here. When Dave won Best Casualties, there was a super cheering and clapping and just like everything. Okay, so just remember that after when we talk later. So they handed out awards. Everybody said your goodbyes, and we went on up to our room because at this time it's about 10:30-ish, maybe 10:45. So it ended later than what we expected.
Yeah.
So we went back up to the hotel.
So technically it was like a 4-hour tournament then.
Well, by the time we got there and before it started, yes, because we got there a little bit early. I think Brian too was playing some board game that was almost over, so he was running a little bit late. Again, I don't care too much really. My main experience is like, I don't care about, you can be drunk. We've teased in the past several times, Grant from Canada getting drunk and having a crazy time and getting weird,
of course,
and stuff, but I don't enjoy it when I'm there to play the game. I wouldn't want to play Drunk Magic the Gathering with you, Steve. I wouldn't want to play Raiders of the North Sea with you if you were drunk.
Right.
Either way. Now, people would say, well, you have an advantage. Well, maybe, but I know for sure we didn't finish a game, and again, I don't care. It's sevens, and it's nothing personal whatsoever.
The thing that I care about, and this is the whole thing getting back to the masks, is I'm glad I didn't go, because when saw photos of the sevens and nobody's wearing masks and everyone's drunk, then I never would have stepped foot in that room. I wouldn't have played. I would just wouldn't nope, screw you. I'm out.
I asked Gary if he wanted to leave, and he said, well, I'm wearing my mask, so I'm okay. And I said, okay.
Nope, that's not how that works.
So I was getting all sorts of hell after I posted the pictures from people in the community who were like, what the hell are you doing there? Why didn't you leave? Where's their mask?
Yeah.
And I was getting people were coming at me really hard to a point where I was almost getting mad. And I said, tell the TO then. You talk to them. And they were saying well.
People are worried, and rightfully so.
And I do appreciate that concern. And in retrospect, they're probably right. I should have said, I'm going to go ahead and get out here if you're not going to enforce masks.
Yeah.
I wish in retrospect, and I even thought that Friday night, like looking back at laying in bed, I was like, I really should have walked. That's one time where I should have like stood my ground.
And that also,
that.
it further clarifies that I understood, wearing masks during Chaos Cup was a big step. That's what should be done, and I'm all for it. But I also know most people are staying at that hotel, and if we can we trust them to practice appropriate measures outside of just that one tournament? And if
Sure.
no, then I don't need to be around those people.
Right. I mean, people can say they trust me all they want, but I have little kids that go to school.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, am I super trusty?
No, and like I know that you do your best and everything, but absolutely your ex does not. I mean, come on. She's dumber than a brick. I'm sure she doesn't care what the kids do.
Well, anyways, so that wrapped up Friday night. I did think that night, like I said, in retrospect, I was thinking maybe I should have walked away. And I told myself, like, man, if tomorrow goes that same route, I might be dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really was like, I could still days later, as we're speaking, because you won't come near me. We're doing this over the internet, and rightfully so. If I come down with it, obviously I'm going to regret every decision I made by going on this trip. So
yeah,
days later.
But you have to do what you have to do, and if you take those educated risks, you can't. I'm okay with what I'm doing with my life. I put everything on hold. I don't go out and see people. I don't take risks. I've been to a store 3 times in 6 months, probably. I'm okay with that because I'm fine with that in my life. It doesn't bother me. And if other people aren't, that's fine. It's on you. And just, what you do affects other people.
So that wraps up Friday night. My overall opinions is I never want to play sevens again.
Yep.
In the event, I'm not saying ever, I'm saying at Chaos Cup. I would have had way more fun staying in my hotel, playing some board games or something like that, or even just relaxing, because this is like my last little vacation,
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with people drinking. It's your vacation too.
Yeah.
And maybe sevens is the event to drink at and play because it's so carefree anyways. But it wasn't as enjoyable as an experience. But
and it was
truth be told, I probably wouldn't have liked it even if they weren't drunk.
Yeah.
I just didn't care for it's Blood Bowl light, and at that point I'd just rather play Blood Bowl.
It's always weird to me when we go to an event and we see people playing Blood Bowl before they played Blood Bowl. I'm like, I love Blood Bowl, but maybe I just don't love it that much.
I swear I heard people Saturday talking about playing more sevens Saturday night. And when we walked into the sevens room, people were playing either Blood Bowl or sevens before the tournament. So it makes you think. I do a podcast for Blood Bowl. Maybe I really do just love the fluff and the adventures of like player X doing something crazy in this league more than I enjoy the game Blood Bowl.
Well, I mean, it just depends too, because it's not like we're playing thousands of games like someone like Core.
That's true.
Core has played more games with one race than we ever will in our lives, period.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Does that mean he loves the game more, or he just has more time, or, I just don't devote the time to it.
Right. Anyways, that wraps up sevens. I got some cool dice out of it. That was kind of neat.
That's cool.
I think that was the only thing we got out of that. I think there was 22 guys that played.
It's a good number.
Hats off to them. I got an awful Amazon record now in sevens, but I don't really give two craps about it. So there we go. All right. that wraps up Friday. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the whole Chicago trip. We'll talk about Saturday right after this.
The Loop also contains some amazing outdoor sculpture and an historic theater district, which makes the area feel like a cross between a museum and a film set.
Saturday morning of Chaos Cup 2020, and let's go. How did it go?
We woke up probably 7 o'clock or so, plenty of time before, because we wanted to be in the right mental state of mind. We obviously didn't go anywhere. We didn't want to buy $12 eggs from the hotel. We had groceries from the night before. So we had like this, I don't know. We had some yogurt up in our room. We had some bananas. We had some donuts and some energy bars. So that was our breakfast. We thought that would at least tide us through until lunch.
Yeah.
So we ate that, went down, got there in time for announcements. Jeffro laid down the law. I thought was pretty cool. Like, he told people, like, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's cool. You're just going to have to tell me so I can drop you from the tournament. He had us, I thought, very spread out. My personal opinion is like, if you're going to be in this environment, like, do you still feel safe, or as safe as you can in the environment you choose to be?
Yeah.
I felt like I was more spaced out almost at Chaos Cup at times than I am at work, and they really spaced us out at work. So kudos to Jeffro. For the hotel gave us, I guess, a lot of room, so we were very spread out. The closest person you were to was obviously your opponent and nobody else. So that was all cool. He did the announcements. Round one, it was kind of fun. This tournament, I played some people that, how do I say it? I don't want to play because I know they're good coaches. Because you're at Chaos Cup, it'd be nice to play like 6 bad coaches in a row so you can go 6-0.
Yeah, that just can't happen, though.
What's that?
That just can't happen. You can have 1 or 2 bad coaches, and then you have to get back to the good ones.
Like talking to Gary, he's like, I just hope I experience some cool people, because every tournament, and I'm sure somebody says this when they come to Oklahoma Bowl, or they find out me and you are going to the tournament, and they probably deep down go like, I just hope I play 4 people today and one of them's not Scott Prime.
Yeah,
and that's okay. I accept that. I know that, like,
I usually say that. I said I usually say that.
I know I wear my feelings on my sleeve when it comes to like stuff going wrong or whatever, but I never mean it personally at somebody. But I also really terrible about keeping super quiet. I've done a lot better of not being super loud, though. So I will say that, despite what everybody wants to give me a hard time. But I got to play McGruber, Shade Knight.
McGruber.
Right. I got to play Shade Knight. He had a slan team. I've never played him before. We've heard about him back in the day from the Slurpcast, when they did tournament reports.
Yeah.
His brother didn't show up this time at this tournament, but I finally got to play him. I don't know. I consider him kind of a tournament legend in my own heart, because like I've always heard of this guy, and then we finally got to see him. And,
it's a guy we've known. We've also known him for a while.
Right, but I've never get to play him. It's usually seeing him at Chaos Cup and smiling, saying, hey, how's it going? How's this? How's that? And then move on. So I finally got to play him. He played Slan. He had 3 catchers, 2 blitzers, a bunch of linemen, a croc score. He only had 11 guys total, which I was pretty happy with, because I thought if I heard enough of them, maybe I can have a chance to beat him. I'm going to try to talk about like some of the moments that really stick with me, and then I'm going to also talk about, if I don't have a lot to talk about, I'm just going to kind of move on. This game was very tight. Up front, I'm going to say, at any point when I'm describing a match, I might be talking about where I felt like the dice boned me. But overall, the weekend, the dice in all ways was almost very fair. It's just when I'm going to make my complaints, it's just like, what are the chances of this?
Right.
But overall, I think the dice were not terrible to me, and at times there was just some bad luck at bad timing. In this match, he went up 1-0. I got the ball back with enough time to try to score. Long story short, I got down. Tripwire got me. I rolled a 1 going into the end zone. Before I kicked off, I believe I lost a man once again because he took the ball and I was down at least one man. I think I even said that in my matchup on my reports, because as I was taking pictures of the matches we were starting, and before I could get the thing posted, somebody would already like casualty or KO a guy. We were one block in, and I was already down players. So before I had a turn, I was already down to 10 guys in the field.
I thought we broke you of this habit.
No. So that happened round 1. Did the tripwire in the first half. We set up for the second half. We played the whole half. I ground him down on men to a point where he had to start trying goofy things. And, with slam, that could happen, your leaps and stuff, if they work out. And I ended up tying it up, and we had a tie matchup, 1-1. I had a good time. I don't know if he did. I can only speak from my experience. He named all his players in a cool way with little fluffy names and stuff. And
what was the team name?
The team name was not Both Down Approved, the Freaky Fast Frogs, but he did name all his players, and I can still appreciate that. So we're not saying Both Down Approved name, but that's his team. He had some cool little models. I don't know if he painted them or not, but again, I really enjoyed this. It was a matchup I've never had at Chaos Cup. I've seen this guy forever. Usually probably because he's at the higher tables and I'm at the lower tables.
Yeah.
So a first round matchup guarantees that, hey, I can play some of these people I never get to play. Round 2, I got paired up against Goblins. I can't remember the guy's last name. I think his first name was Steve. I know he ended up winning Stunty Cup. I do know this for a fact. He had a Goblin team. I think his name is Cylax. Cyllax is his online name. His team is not Both Down Approved. It's Any Means Necessary. It's a Goblin team, 2 rerolls. He had a Doom Diver with Dodge. He had a Looney, Chainsaw Looney, with Dirty Player. A bunch of Goblins that he could get. 2 Trolls, both with block and break tackle, which were big pain in the asses.
Wait,
and Ripper.
You can put 2 skills on 2 people?
Yes, you can.
Since when?
For the last 8 years of Chaos Cup, you could put 2 skills on two people.
Oh, okay.
Now these are 2 doubles, but I think that's still allowed. So, anyways, it doesn't matter. It's over. We played it this way. He's played very, very well. We had discussions. What helped me out in this match is he got called. He took out my Snow Troll and killed him with a chainsaw foul before I had a turn.
Jeez.
I was out my Snow Troll before he ever got a turn.
Yeah.
I kicked to him. By the way, I shouldn't even tell people this. I'm not going to tell them the results. When I used the kickoff die this weekend, the 50-50,
Mm-hmm.
every time, 5 out of 1 times it was favored to one side of the coin.
Huh.
It was pretty awful. I think just about everybody won the kickoff against me, except for maybe one person. So it was interesting. Anyways, I thought he played really smart and well for a stunty team, and he wasn't trying to do the secret weapons. He said, no, I didn't want to take a bunch of secret weapons because I thought Ripper was the key, and there's trolls, and those trolls and Ripper were a pain in the ass. Ripper played like a mega star, crushing people, and I mean crushing them and hurting them, and he knocked out my my tackle piece like on turn 2, and he never recovered. This game I struggled with. He went up.
The one time you really need your tackle piece.
Mm-hmm. He went up, I think, 1-0. I came back and scored. I might have texted you in this saying, like, do I just take the tie or do I go
Yeah.
for it? And I think at that point you said you might as well go for it. You've already tied a match. You
Yeah.
need the
You
wins.
have to win.
And so I went ahead and scored to try to, play the defense and try to just surround him. He got two other goblins called out on fouls. The chainsaw guy got kicked out of fouls, and I think another one did too. So that helped me start to get man advantage because these trolls were peeling people off the pitch left and right, and they were like doing everything they needed to do. I know they probably went stupid at some point. I just don't remember them going stupid at some point. I came back on the last turn of the game. I had to, I believe, dodge away from a tackle zone. I had to then go tackle his goblin. And then I had to go pick it up, do two go for it's, and then throw it and catch it. And then I won 2-1. So we had a very tight matchup. Good. I was really happy I won. Obviously, I didn't want to get upset by goblins.
Nobody does.
Ironically enough, there was a goblin team that beat a chaos dwarf team in round 1.
Jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
And they didn't win Stunty?
It wasn't this goblin team I played. It was the one that had all the weapons and stuff. So no, this guy, like I said, the guy I played went on to win the Stunty Cup. So it had to be that other goblin team. So we took a break for lunch. We got food from the hotel. They had a chicken panini sandwich, French fries for like $14, which is, yes, it's overpriced, but the convenience was we could have Robert walk down and tell him like, hey, at 1:30 we want these meals, and the hotel did a great job on that. I thought the food was quality enough where, it's overpriced, but at the same time, it wasn't like, it didn't bother me paying for it.
No, I liked them last year.
So we just ate lunch kind of there at the table, and then we had lunch. We finished so quick on our matches that me and Gary went up to the room for about 45 minutes and relaxed.
Banged a couple out. Yeah,
we banged a few out, banged each other. It was pretty fun. Can't be gay if it's in Chicago.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, that's what you tell me. Mm-hmm. So then came back down. Match 3, round 3 was against Lucas Espinoza. He's come to Oklahoma Bowl tournament, so I've watched him play. I know he's a good coach. He's known as half _ baked on the NAF. He was playing an Amazon team. His team was called the Immortan Joe's Chosen. He had, 4 blitzers, a catcher, a thrower, and the rest were line women, 13 players. He had a blitzer with mighty blow and tackle. The thrower and the catcher also had block. 2 linemen had block, and then a dirty player. So I was facing a lot of blodgers. From the little bit I've watched him, he seems like a really good coach. So I knew I was going to either, if I don't get injuries, I'm going to struggle in this match because he also has a ton of subs.
Yeah. That's the most disheartening thing ever when you have a team where you're trying to get casualties and you look over and they've got 2 or 3 people on the bench. You're right. Like, oh.
But I had a couple guys on the bench too, so we'll just see what happens. I think this is the one matchup where I won the kickoff and I chose to take the ball because I wanted to try to hurt him before he hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one. This is the one time the dice rolled a different way on the kickoff dice. So I thought that was funny. I thought there's no way then I can lose a guy before the kickoff, before turn 1. Well, it was throw a rock, and my sure hands guy got knocked out.
Jesus.
Now, that means for 3 games in a row, I wouldn't have had 11 players to start my turn.
Right.
I was so mad at this point for this reason of like, why is this fate always giving me 10 guys before I have a turn? I used my apothecary because he was knocked out. I wasted my apothecary to keep the guy in the field so I could have 11 damn guys.
Probably not a bad idea.
Well, the ball was also so far in the backfield. I didn't think he could get to me. And he's my sure hand piece.
Yeah.
So I knew he could recover. So I wasted my apothecary.
Not really wasting, just used.
Used. Yeah, that's true.
Unless he died real
Long
fast.
stories. What's that?
So unless he again died real fast after that, then it'd be wasting.
Right. We had a tight matchup. I didn't score. It was 0-0 going into halftime. I was going to have to play defense. I was staying in front of him, so he couldn't get far. He got a little over midway. I would say, I don't know, if we were talking football terms, and he's going into the end zone, he was probably about the 40-yard line going in. I had an opportunity I started getting some numbers on him. I started wearing him down. I think he got called for a foul as well, or I fouled a piece off. I can't remember. I had numbers on him.
Yeah.
The numbers were 11 guys to 9 at this point. It was about turn 3, turn 4 area. And I had a chance where I could jump up. I think it was jump up. My guy would jump up. And then I can push, and send a guy out of bounds. And that guy then would be in a tackle zone with his ball carrier, where all I had to do is go blitz the ball carrier, which is still going to be tough, right? Because I'm going to still need a POW.
Yeah.
But I get some people on him, and he goes from 11 on 9 to 11 on 8. And I get to do the rest of my blocks the rest of that turn, right?
That would be awesome.
Still have a reroll. I get the jump up, make my dice roll. I get push skull. So I push him. And then it turns into 1 dice, which I knew was part of it. And I had a choice either to dodge a guy away to set that up to be 2 dice for sure, or waste my 1 guy that could really blitz his ball carrier, who wouldn't have to dodge away. So I chose just to take the 1 die block before all this, thinking about it, because what's the chances with a reroll?
Right.
Well, I roll
you have
skull.
block. I mean,
yeah, I have block, right? So I rolled the skull, and I giggled to myself, and I said, "Oh, I know where this is going, Nuffle." And of course, I roll it again, and I roll a skull.
Jesus.
So I don't knock his guy out to turn it from 11 guys to 8 guys.
Yeah.
And maybe really get some more momentum. Because momentum of this half is going my way. Because I think we started off 11 on 11. I go ahead and go ahead and do my armor. KO. So he peels the guy off the pitch from my block. Right? The next 3 blocks on his turn go like this. He makes a block, casualty. He makes a block, KO. He makes a block, broke armor, KO. Within 4 blocks, 1 I chose to throw, and the next 3 he chose to throw, I go from 11 to 9 players on the pitch, 2-man advantage, to 7 to 9 players, 2-man advantage for him.
That I don't understand.
Now, I don't feel like I got boned in this game on dice, but the situation where it happened and how they lined up all at the same time was maddening.
Yeah, and the fact it always happens to you. And I know people would probably, if I wasn't there, I'd be like, yeah, right, whatever.
I wrote it down. It was so important. I wrote it down and in front of him so I could retell this story. It's right here on this piece of paper, as you can see.
Jeez.
So I did it because I couldn't. It was like in disbelief. I never got I don't think I might have got 1 more chance to hit the ball carrier at that point for a 1 dice. I needed a pound type thing.
Yeah.
Safe to say, a few more people got knocked off the pitch. He overwhelmed me. It was 1-0. I lost to a good coach. I had all my bad luck right then. It was pretty dang awful. So at this point, I'm
Nuffle going,
1-1.
You don't need to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Nuffle's just telling you, this whole weekend, you don't need to worry about winning. Just enjoy.
I mean, it's already bad enough that I could have had momentum, but I rolled the skull. But then that guy got knocked out, and then the next 3 blocks knocked the guy off the pitch. Amazing. Um, so going into round 4, I'm 1-1-1. My armor feels pretty paperish, but it's also 7 armor, so you can't gripe about that, right?
Right.
I play a guy. I guess his username is Thomas. I don't know for sure. Hold on, let me look here and what I got here. Daruku, Darukku. He played Lizardmen against obviously my Norse. He won the kickoff, and before I got a turn 1, I was down some players. So that was really fun. So here we are, 3 out of 4 games. I should have been down at least 1 player, or 4 out of 4. I should have been down 1 player, but because I used my apothecary, it was only 3 out of 4 games, luckily. Pretty crazy. This game was actually, I'm going to tell you the result eventually, and you're going to like laugh, but this game was actually really tight for the longest time. He had a different Lizardman build. He had 5 sources. He had, looks like 7 skinks. The source skills were block on one of them. One of them was block grab. Another was mighty blow block, and another with mighty blow block. He had 3 rerolls. So it was just a different. He called it this fun Lizardman team because he just didn't have the Crocs and stuff like that, but he loaded all the skills in the sources.
Makes sense.
He had the extra reroll and stuff too that you can get from that. His team was called Snatch and Grab, not both down approved. He did have cool names for his players, so I do appreciate that. I'm gonna go back to Lucas's team real quick.
Okay.
He had models, and I saw this a lot. So this is not knocking Lucas at all. He had models; they were clearly numbered, but he had models that were not typical Blood Bowl models. They were like these post-apocalyptic women models. They were cool models. They were painted well. They all had numbers, but none of them had like, you know how we paint rings around the bases?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, the blue guys are catchers. None of them had that. And I remember asking him if I could put purple bands on his blitzers. And he said, yeah, but they're clearly marked. And I was like, well, I know. But for the quick look, when you look out on the field, it would have been hard to tell who's who.
Yeah. Well, how are they clearly marked? Just by the number?
Just by the number.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Okay. So just a reminder to everybody.
2 out of 3.
Huh?
They need to have 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 what?
That's what we always say. The ways to identify. Color, number, or base.
Yeah.
Or obvious positionals.
I think all of us sometimes forget, like, if this was a league team, I wouldn't give 2 craps because we could have played a game in 3.5 hours and I could have referenced the roster several times, right? But in a tournament, I don't know. I question sometimes, like, if all of us don't think, like, how clear can I make this for my opponent? And I know they like colored, bases sometimes don't help if you play somebody that's colorblind. So you got to kind of think of it, all these things. That's just my suggestion. I don't think he was trying to cheat or get away with stuff. But the last thing I want to do when I play somebody is for them to walk away from that game and go, well, clearly Scott was trying to frustrate me because, he didn't have his bases marked really clear or anything like that. So,
well, I mean, it all comes down to that one time that I went and took, 5th ed humans. There's no reason people couldn't figure that out, and yet nobody could figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so that's just my suggestion to people out there. If you're listening, never been to a tournament, if you can, mark your bases, color code them, whatever it is. All my blitzers have red bases. All my catchers have blue bases. My throwers have brown, and all my linemen have black bases or green bases. Just something to think about. So I played this Lizardman team round 4. It's the last match of the day. I'm going to be honest in saying this whole time, and it's not because of results, because I really played good people. I had fun matches. I had some crazy bad luck, but at this point, I'm done with Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
Like,
I,
I'm ready to like be done, and
I
I
heard.
know it's, huh?
I said I heard.
Yeah, and I even told you, I said, like, even if you told me I was going to win something, if I felt obligated to stay and play because Gary was with me, and we do the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have this like
And you
image
run
that
tournaments, so you know you're not supposed to drop.
you're not supposed to drop because you run tournaments. But I said, like, I think if you told me I'm going to get an award, but you also have to stay and play, I said, I think I still would like to drop. I think it, and you said you played too much Blood Bowl already by playing those 3 games Friday night.
Yeah, that
And
even
that's
not
when it
being
dawned on that's when it dawned on me, holy shit, you are right.
yeah, because you're just
I
not
played,
used to it.
yeah, I'm just not used to it. And I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done. And I'm going to say this. I was done after this match, despite the result of this match. So we play. It was a very tough game. It was 0-0 to almost the last play of the first half. I had him like totally surrounded the skink. I even had like a wall of players, so he had to keep dodging as he walked down the sidelines. The dude made all his rolls. It was frustrating. Halftime, I was down 1-1 or 1-0. He was getting frustrated because even though he scored, I had so many of his people casualty. He had 2 sources and 4 skinks left.
Jeez.
And that started about turn 7 and 8 of the first half. And my hot dice on breaking armor and casualtying then continued for turns 1, 2, and 3 of the second half. And I mean, for 6 turns or so, this is the hottest dice I've ever had in my life playing any type of Blood Bowl, fumble or otherwise. There was just enough time that I scored in the first half to tie it 1-1 with some go for it's. Yeah, I guess I forced him to score on turn 7.
Okay.
I think it's turn 7. Is that how it works? Then yeah, he kicks to me and has a turn 7. The ball went out of bounds. I gave the ball to a lineman on the front line, and I had to do some go for it. Anyways, I started peeling people off the pitch like crazy in turn. I guess in hindsight, that was like turn 5 and 6. Because then this was my 7 and 8. And then I started peeling off more players. We get to the second half. He only has 5 players left.
Total?
And he's kicking off to me. Huh?
Total, 5 people.
Yeah, this is that, like I KO'd some guys and stuff like that. He recovered them. 5 total. He
Jesus.
has, I think, 1 Saurus and 4 skinks left. And then I cracked armor. I cracked casualties. And so many of them came from the, all right, and +1 for Mighty Blow, which turns it into a 9. Oh, plus your stunty 10, badly hurt.
Yeah.
So many of his skinks went out because of that. Nothing else. Ironically enough, he like KO'd my tackle piece, and that guy never came back either. So I really needed him, and I didn't get it. My piling on piece was amazing in this game, and the Yeti, he was scared when we set out because he was worried about the Yeti's claws, and I thought, dude, that never works, especially with me.
Yeah.
I can't say that anymore because this game, the Yeti's claws were amazing.
Just tore right through him.
Tore right through him. About turn 4, I scored my 2nd touchdown. He had 1 skink left. That's right, everybody. I had 11 casualties. He said, I'm done. I'm done. And I totally get it because he was very frustrated. And this is one of those things where, like, if we were at a Magic tournament and you had a bad couple first rounds, you could tell the guy, good game. I'm folding. I'm moving on. And you don't hurt that guy in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that a guy that I just did 11 casualties to, in essence, he's going to hurt me if I'm up for the casualty award by quitting.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give me that opportunity to get one more casualty, which could really be important.
So he had one person left.
He had one person left. In hindsight, I should have said, well, you have to finish this. You can't quit. But I don't know.
And it was turn 4.
It was turn 4, and I was going to kick off to him.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, I would have had to chase him down and get to him, but I probably would have had it since I had all my people.
You wouldn't have
10
to
people.
chase him down. He'd have to put him on the line.
Well, he'd have to dodge away and go get the ball or whatever. But I would have had and said, okay, we'll call it. And of course, I was thinking Steve's going to chew you out because he should finish. Because like I said, what if I was going for most touchdowns? I mean, I wasn't going for most casualties either. I took a team that I wanted to finish in the top 10. That was my goal.
But that's what happened to me at World Cup. Is I didn't realize, and I let at least 2 people quit without finishing it off because I had the win. I was 3 away from the most touchdowns. I know. Probably could have got it.
So there's a couple things here. If you play Blood Bowl and you've never been to a tournament, big or small, finish your games. If you're frustrated, put the guy on the line. Tell your opponent, like, hey, you can hit this guy all you want. I'm done. I'm not going to move him. I will stand him up, or whatever. I'll leave him down. He could have left him down and made me foul him off. Whatever.
Yeah, you could even, as I was going to say, you could at least say, okay, look, you get one shot. If I go down, then I'm not going to get him back up, and that's it.
Right.
That's
and then
inside
it would have been
the
up
rules.
to me to try to score and get the blitz and try to knock him down. Either way, Blood Bowl is very punishing because when you have a very terrible game, I couldn't imagine anybody giving me 11 casualties.
Right. That's insane.
But I let him quit. And then I had no clue this would throw me into, I should have known, but I had no clue that this would throw me into the top in the casualty thing because this is about the time where I found out, like, I didn't realize Doombeard Dade played the game of he lets people run by him because he just wants casualties. And I know the Ogre guy was doing that. So I still thought they were way ahead of me on casualties, but this propelled me to the top of the list on casualties.
Yeah.
Going into round 5. So I ended the first day, once again in Chaos Cup, because this is very common, going 2-1-1. And it's pretty funny because talking before we started the day, I told the guys, like, more important, I'd like to go 2 wins on Sunday. And they're like, that's more important than having a good Saturday. And I was like, do you know how many total wins I have on a Sunday? I said, from my memory, I either have 1 or 2 wins on a Sunday. It's always a tie and a loss.
Yeah.
And they laughed and they said, that's crazy. And I said, well, it's just how it always goes out.
It is usually how it works.
Anyways, I was 2-1-1 Saturday. I still had the goal of getting top 10. Like if I could just win my next 2 games, not, get flustered by, you can't be down all men every game,
Yeah.
before you have a turn. And that night we went and afterwards we packed up the table. Sales for both down stuff was terrible this year.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, it was really bad. The one year you say, take this stuff and you can keep any of the money you get. I don't know if we sold $50 worth of stuff.
Jeez. Well, we also kept stuff in bags and so people wouldn't fumble around with them.
I think there was a lot of that, like people who might want a pair of dice before we'd say 2 dice for $5 or whatever. Now you had them bagged up into pairs.
If people would like dice, you can still go to the website, bothdown.com/shop.
The way you had stuff packaged up, it was like all the dice in a package. You don't have to run your fingers through all the dice.
Mm-hmm.
It's $20. So if somebody didn't want $20 worth of dice, it was either nothing or $20. And I don't think we sold any dice whatsoever. We sold some markers for sure. We sold 1 big deal.
People don't like the square dice.
Oh, you think that's it?
That's a lot of it.
Well, we know for next time, right?
Yep.
So that night we went out to Giordano's again because we still wanted some Chicago pizza because at this point, At the end of round 4, Gary was very tired. You know,
How was he doing?
he, I think, went 1 win, 1 tie, and 2 losses. He
Eesh.
was very, very frustrated with his game 4. He played a gentleman who was new to Blood Bowl, who, you know how when you start playing Blood Bowl, you go like, oh, I got 2 dice here. And you go, no, you only got 1. Well,
Mm-hmm.
why? Well, because, like I'm touching the base of this. No, that's not true. Like almost every time Gary had to correct this guy. And the guy was obviously new. So Gary initially wanted to say like, now if you move this guy over here, you get 2 dice. And Gary got paid for his niceness every time. Or like the guy would try to do something goofy. And he goes, you realize, you're going to have to dodge to do that. Oh, I do? Well, yeah, if you want to go pick up the ball to throw. And then the guy would go, okay, whatever. And then he'd like roll a 6 and then roll a 6 to pick up and a
Mm-hmm.
5 to throw it. And you're not supposed to throw dwarves and all this stuff. And so Gary felt like he coached somebody to beat him and he paid the price for it. And he said, I shouldn't have played 7s. This is too much Blood Bowl. He said, I asked the guy if it was okay to drop, like if he had an odd man out. And the guy said, yep. And so he dropped. So we went to Giordano's to get pizza.
Jeez.
Because him dropping also changed our plans to stay Sunday night at the hotel. We decided he said, let's just hit the road after the tournament and go back. And I said, okay, you're driving, all that. So we went to Giordano's for the second time on Saturday instead of Sunday night. I wanted to try their barbecue pizza. I'm a barbecue pizza fan. Nobody else is, so I had to get my own pizza. We had a delicious Caesar salad once again, some wonderful tea, and I got the best barbecue pizza I've maybe ever had. It had like caramelized onions on it.
Huh.
It was very delicious. I will probably pay the extra money every time we're in Chicago from now on and get a barbecue pizza from there. I took the leftovers and had them the next day for lunch. So
I am game to try.
So there's that. That's all we did that night. We didn't go back to Oberweis or anything like that. Came back. Me and Gary played a game of Marvel Champions that lasted way too long, but we had lots of good laughs, of course, because we made the fluff around like this story and all this stuff. Anyways, fun game. Not going to get into that heavy. I think right now it's probably it. You have any questions, comments, thoughts?
No, just been enjoying listening. I mean, it sounds. How many people? It was what, 48 people?
I think the final total was 48. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably 49 with the sub in.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing 7s and then that, it's just too much.
Yeah, it was too much, and like I said, my advice for people coming to tournaments: no, you don't have to play Blood Bowl like I want you to play Blood Bowl. But from a help standpoint, when people have models not marked super clear, I automatically think about like the guys who purposely try to cheat in other games.
Yeah.
Not necessarily I'm trying to trick you in Blood Bowl, but I know in like other games, people do try to do things like that. I've seen it at Magic tournaments where people mark cards and goofy stuff like that. So my brain automatically kind of goes there. This is also not your home league or, playing at home or playing at your league where you have extra time. You have 2 hours to play a game. So try to make it as clear as possible. That's my best advice for everybody. I also recommend if the tournament organizer tells you blue bands, if you're using the loom bands, is for block and yellow is tackle like Jeffro did, please follow those guidelines, because I did play, I think on that first day, maybe one guy who had odd colors and it was clear as day to him. It was not to me. But we worked around it, and that's why I always bring my extra bands so I can ask somebody if I can mark players a certain way.
Yep.
And everybody thought, the few people I asked that to maybe thought I was weird because it was clear to them, but it helped me make it clear to me. I did get to hear. I was in the room with Doombeard, so I got to hear a lot of Sade play throughout the tournament.
That sounds horrible.
But anyways, so let's take a quick break and let's go to Sunday.
Sounds good.
Shop till you drop in the upscale boutiques which line the magnificent miles-wide boulevards. And when it's time to refuel, sink your teeth into a deep dish pizza, an old Chicago favorite.
And finally, we come to Sunday. I guess second to final, because we have the trip home. But now Sunday.
I'm gonna wrap in Sunday and trip home all in this one segment.
Okay.
Before we go further, we always forget to talk about all the like little goodies you get at Chaos Cup. This year we got a little it's called Lord Borak Jr. figure. It's like a Chaos Warrior. I believe it's from Impact. Anyways,
That's cool. Yeah.
This year at the tournament for round 6, you get to use Lord Borak Jr. as an extra player. Came with a cool card. I'm sure this was made by what's his
Star player cards.
Yeah, the star player cards.
Special
guys.
play
Who's
cards.
That? Yeah, who's that?
Jason Weaver.
Weaver, that's right, Weave. Anyways, really nice, high quality on these cards, man. Good stuff. We got a Chaos Cup coin, which is the best part of the swag, even though I never use them. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, they just kind of sit around, but they are cool.
Yeah, and then we got a Chaos Cup patch, which is always cool too, but I don't know what I'm ever going to do with these.
Put them on bags. You got your bag.
I know, that's what I should do. I just know how over time people have these and then they start to peel off.
Yeah.
I need to do something special with all those. But so some really cool stuff. You also got in case you didn't have a mask, you got a Chaos Cup mask here.
That's cool.
Jeffro had a Nurgle King one on, which I thought was appropriate, but I didn't know if those were for sale or if like different people got different ones. Most people had their own mask anyways. And then of course you had your little goodie dice bag with the spray paint on there. So anyways, some cool swag for, a tournament that you're going to go to either way. It's the fact that you get all that. And plus we got 2 different pairs of dice. So pretty neat stuff. Let's see. Sunday morning, get up. My roommates are sleeping in because they don't have anything to get up to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So Gary just straight up dropped.
Yeah, he dropped. To be honest, I thought about I wonder if, the conversation of, I guess I could drop too if you wanted. And he was like, no, dude, you need to stay in it. You want to try to top 10 this thing. There's only 2 more rounds. And he's like, besides, you really won't come down. You won't break down and drop anyways because of the podcast and everything.
Right.
Like, you're right. I said, I'm tired of playing some Blood Bowl. And he's like, yeah, but he said it'd be really awesome for me if you could finish. We found out at this time after round 4, after getting all those casualties, I had 21. And I think the next guy down had maybe 19 and 18,
nice.
Something like that. So we go to, I get up. I think I just have a banana for breakfast or maybe a donut, one of the two. And because Sunday's weird because you have one game and then a break and then another game.
You don't want to eat too much.
So I wasn't really concerned about eating. I took my leftover pizza down, so by the time it was time for lunch, it'd be nearly room temperature and I wouldn't have to nuke it too much. So I went downstairs. I got paired up against Eric Nyberger from Florida. He was giving away some Florida dice. So I got an extra pair because I got to play him twice this weekend. So
that's cool.
So I'm going to give you a pair of those.
Sweet.
They're a nice, kind of like a North Carolina blue for the Tar Heels type thing. So they're pretty color. We had not a mirror match in positionals, but in race. So I was playing Norse. At this point, I had 2 trains of thoughts. It was like, I'm still going to go for try to get 4 wins because I figure 4 wins is what you need to get in the top 10.
Yeah.
But, with the right good luck, even though you're never going to get 11 casualties again in your life in a matchup. Maybe I could squeak in, finishing, in the top 3 of casualties. Maybe have the dream of getting enough casualties to actually win the thing. But I know I'm going up against stiff competition with, I said, Doomber Dare was playing as Chaos. And
You've
with
got two people who are actively going for it, and you just kind of lucked into it.
Right. And I knew that they're going to just keep teeing off. And I thought about this matchup is weird because this is probably the one matchup I really, really let get into my head. I probably tilted a little bit inside. But when you're up for like most casualties and the game starts going south, you think like, well, maybe I should give up and just go for casualties. Long story short, we played a game for about the first 3 or 4 turns. Every one of my blocks was like push.
Yeah.
And then like stuff just started going downhill from there with injuries and stuff. And at halftime, it's 1-0. And at this point, I was like, here goes another Sunday. Here goes another Sunday loss. Maybe I can get a few casualties out of this and still on game 6, still be in the running for the casualty award.
Yeah.
Where I messed up and I'm going to give this advice to everybody. 1, it's Blood Bowl. Anything can happen. And by the stories I've given you already, that you see some of that, like 11 casualties, 4 blocks, 4 people removed from the pitch, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're all just kind of, just never know what's going to happen.
Never underestimate the power of sweltering heat as well. Sweltering heat probably gave me a chance to get back into this game, but I was really unfocused. And it just ended up, I probably didn't play as hard as I could. I kind of feel bad because I pretty much gave up, truthfully. And, I have to wear that. Nobody else does. So I ended up losing the game eventually I think it was 2-0. I did manage to get 4 casualties out of this. I was playing, if I remember correctly, I was playing with maybe I'm getting this confused. I lost my notes on these 2 last games. I lost a lot of my skill positions, and rightfully so. I mean, if you're going to go target people with 7 armor, you take out the guys with skills.
Yeah.
Eric was awesome as always. I kind of wish I would have gave him a more competitive game in that first half and not kind of mind screwed myself in the second half. Because I really honestly should have never kind of gave up, because like sweltering heat actually kept that alive. But I got 4 casualties. We moved on. I'm still, thinking like the casualty thing is still, I feel like this is Nuffle's way of saying like, you remember how Brian Hill used to call it the Blood Bowl boner? Like you get all the hard things and then like the easy ones you can't do. And I
thought that was Alan.
Was that Alan? Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought this was another Blood Bowl boner. Like for a couple of rounds, I'm going to have the lead and at least think maybe I can get an award, and then it's taken away. And of course, I'm playing at the higher tables.
Yeah.
Than the guys who are letting the ball go past them and stuff. But we break for lunch. I go warm up my delicious barbecue pizza that warmed up really well. I even got a mixed drink up the bar. Found out that somebody bought it for me.
Ooh, someone hitting on you.
It was JP, I think it's Meisenberg. He bought me a drink from the other end of the bar, which I should have known was going to happen because I said, I think I'm going to get a drink. He's like, you like whiskey? And now looking back on it in retrospect, he was trying to find out what drink I liked so he could buy me a drink. So that stinky guy, when I go to pay for my drink as I'm eating at the bar watching NFL, and the bartender says, oh, that guy down there bought you a drink. And I was like, what? So I ordered another drink. Now, mind you, these were alcoholic drinks, but it was like getting it from Sonic. It was packed full of ice.
Jeez.
And they tasted like Kool-Aid, and I knew they weren't very powerful besides I'm a big man. So I told the guys, like, give me one more of these. And then I snuck it in. I was like, and buy him a shot of whiskey as soon as I leave and I'm out of sight, because I don't want to keep combating drink for drink, you know? So I drank my other drink and tipped the bartender. And later, JP was walking by and he said, hey, at the time I told him, like, you didn't have to buy me a drink. He's like, hey, I get to tell everybody I got to buy Scott Prime a drink. And so later he saw me and he walked around the corner and he's like, thanks for the shot of whiskey. And I said, I get to tell everybody I bought you a drink now. And we giggled about it and then we moved on. You know, going into round 6, it's like a lot of people are like, let's get this over with. Let's get this going. Golly, I don't remember the top 4 exactly. The top 4 guys, the top table was Will Mayo from Florida and Josh Wyatt from the Minnesota crowd.
With
they
Norse.
Were top table. Huh?
He had Norse.
Yeah, he had Norse. And Will Mayo had Chaos Dwarves. And then I know John Stevens was on one table. And I can't tell you what he was playing.
John Stevens?
He ended up finishing
Old World Alliance, surprisingly.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I don't know who the other guy was versus John Stevens. In the end, in that round, Will Mayo, won it. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But my 6th round matchup was against Michael Bell, GW Junkie. Have you played him before?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that's what he was thinking too. So I was kind of excited to play him just because I've seen him around for the last 10 years or so.
I think I played him last year, honestly.
We always say hi. We always chit chat a little bit, but we never get to play each other. I mean, the only time I think I ever got to play that guy was when we played what was that other game by Mantic? Cyberball, Mantic Ball. Dreadball.
Yeah.
Played some Dreadball, I believe, or that one year that he was showing people how to play that. So we sat down and he had Dark Elves and we both got to use, Lord Borak and pick our mutations. And anyway, so we play our game. The first half, man, I start peeling guys off the pitch. So I got like maybe 1 or maybe 2 casualties, 1 for sure. And I had like 5 guys in his KO box. It might have been 2 casualties, 5 guys in his KO box.
Yeah.
And he said, like, well, I guess I'm going to give you your first time you can win on a Sunday, match. I'm going to give you one of those matches. And I said, dude, I'm not counting on anything yet. And he goes, look over here. And he's like, did his hand towards the KOs. And I said, yeah, but you're elves. Besides, you're going to recover some of those. Well, Stevie recovered all of them.
Jeez.
He recovered all of them. So it was 9 on 11 because he also had Lord Borak at that time. Was it 9 on 11? Maybe it was 10 on 11. Either way, we set up. I kick off to him. He doesn't take people off the pitch. Lord Borak Jr. does. I believe 4 8 turns, he took off a guy fouling every turn. There was a contest.
Didn't get called out?
Didn't get called out. There was a contest that said if you get casualties with Lord Borak, keep track of them. And it doesn't matter if you block people or foul people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the award for Lord Borak Jr.'s most casualties went through me as he got 4 casualties. The second half, he rolled me the second half.
Yeah.
The only good thing is I've stalled him out just enough where he scored on turn 7. So when it was time to kick off, he needed to get the blitz action basically to win the game, or the clock to set back, and thank God that didn't happen. So we ended up having a tie. I think I had 5, 6 players at the end of the game. Not many at all, because he just KO'd so many and then casualtied so many. It looked like it was a crazy massacre of fouls.
Yeah.
In hindsight, after everything's said and done, I guess it was kind of funny. I was probably bitching and moaning, but laughing inside of like, this is unreal how this guy's just never getting caught fouling. It was just crazy. So he was playing. What's funny is I had Lord Borak, and on turn 2, I tried to foul, and I got called out immediately. Now I was using the big deal model, and he was using the Lord Borak Jr. model. And about halfway through all these fouls of his, I was like, well, I guess we're finding out who the real Lord Borak Jr. is and who the imposter was, since I got called out so quick. Like I said, we ended up tying. I managed to get 4 more casualties at this point. So I was sitting at 29 for the whole tournament.
That's a good number.
Not bad. But I found out, Dave and Alan, the 2 guys that were going for casualties, were playing each other. So it was Chaos versus Ogres.
Ooh.
And I thought, oh my gosh, he's gonna rack them up.
Yeah.
And surpass me. And I kind of walked over there and kind of watched the last couple of plays over there. He was massacring that guy. He got 7 casualties against the Ogre team. So when it was all said and done, I had 29 casualties and he had 28.
Wow.
And then the Ogre team had 27. So not to drag a longer story out, I ended up with most casualties.
Congrats.
Which I think is really weird, since I wasn't. I mean, what did I tell you? I might take Ogres just to get the most casualty awards, and then I ended up lucking through this and getting the most casualties. So I was pretty happy that I was going to get an award, especially one that I wasn't even trying for. And, the strategy obviously was different than the other teams to get it, So at the end of the day, I was pretty happy with that. Overall, I was really blood bowled out. I mean,
it's a lot of games.
William Mayo ended up winning it all. The Florida guys took a lot of awards. I know they got
when you're a quarter of the attendance, that kind of happens.
Josh Wozniak or whatever, he won like I Am Chaos. He had an Underworld team that finished like 5th, which was pretty remarkable. Which is crazy.
I think it's pretty remarkable that Old World Alliance came in 2nd.
Well, it also came in 10th because Brian 2 played that as well. And he finished 10th.
Just weird.
Yeah. What's scary is they only get better with the next incarnation of Blood Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is just talking, and I don't know if this is true. So we were walking out to get a group picture outside, and Doombeer Dave was talking to me, and he said, if I would have tied you, did you know I guess he went up and asked Jeffro, like, what would have happened if I would have tied Scott?
Right.
And he claims that, which I thought, because I was telling Robert, I was like, as long as he doesn't get any more, I think I win it. And even if he gets 1 more tiebreakers, I'm ranked higher than him. And I just thought this was interesting from a TO. And I'll talk to Jeffro at some point. It's not a huge deal. But David was saying that the tiebreaker for most casualties would have been casualty differential. So since I had more guys injured than Doombeard, he would have won on tiebreakers.
Okay. Makes sense.
As a guy who runs tournaments, if that is Jeffro's decision, we're going to have to be nice and disagree, because I think the guy who ranked higher and didn't let people walk around him would deserve it over the guy who didn't even go for the ball. But
I would agree.
It doesn't matter. I wasn't running the tournament, and the scenario never happened. And thus we forget that I had a game quit on me. So I could have easily had 30.
So you did come in 26th overall.
I did come in 26, which everybody's like, "Oh, you're happy because you got an award." Well, of course I'm happy I got an award, especially when I wasn't trying for. Um, but I didn't. I really wanted. I wanted 4 wins more than the others
Yeah.
stuff. I wanted to finish in the top 10, and it didn't happen. So my overall feeling on Chaos Cup, I guess I can do that in shout outs. Maybe I shouldn't. So let's wrap up Sunday. We took the picture. I thought it was so when they announced the Chaos Cup award, I didn't get the big cheers like Dave did on Friday night. I think I disappointed the Florida people by winning it. You can definitely tell that Doombeard Dave has his fans and they want him and expect him to get it every time.
Right.
And
I
didn't say a word to Gary, and Gary's like, "Boy, you could tell that crowd didn't really want to clap for you for winning that award." And I was like, "Yeah, that happens." I said, I'm sure I'm part villain in all this, but oh well. I'll take the award.
Yeah, for sure.
Trying to think what else. I know Eric Nyberger got best comeback. I know Josh Wyatt ended up being third place. John Stevens got second. Trying to think of, I can't remember who got most touchdowns, anything like that. Best D. But the Chaos Dwarf team that won it all was the team I talked about that got beat by Goblins round 1.
That's crazy.
He got beat by Goblins, and he said whooped by Goblins, and he went on to win 5 games in a row and win Chaos Cup, which is pretty crazy and remarkable, for that to happen. So impressive. So congratulations. The Florida guys were super happy. They, like I said, they cleaned up awards on 7s. They cleaned up the awards on Chaos Cup, and a good time was had by all. Sunday night, then we ended up packing up.
So did you stay at the hotel, or did you decide to leave that night?
We did not. Gary was driving, and he said, "I'd like to get home in time to watch the Raiders game on Monday night in my own house." I said, "No problem." So we left. We drove to St. Louis that night. We didn't really have like a real dinner. We just got like gas station food, and we stayed the night in a hotel that was really crappy in St. Louis, like really bad for a 4-star hotel. And got up the next morning, had some kolache factories again, and didn't eat anywhere fancy either on the way back, and got in maybe 4-ish or so and called it a evening.
Cool.
Do you want my overall thoughts here, or do you want me to come out with some shout outs and give you my overall feeling of everything?
I mean, I might as well do it here since it's not really a shout out.
Okay. So. Do you have any questions, comments? You're awful quiet over there. This is how I felt last year listening to you.
Well, I'm returning the favor. No, I mean, you're covering everything, so.
I hope I'm covering everything.
How about paint jobs or team names or anything?
There was some excellent paint job stuff. There was, I don't know. I don't know about the whole, we've talked about this before. The whole painting thing, you want it to make it a group project, like you want everybody's opinions, and yet
how do you trust it?
I've told you
how do you trust it?
Yeah, like how do you trust it? Me and you both have talked before, like like when people go the extra mile and they build a crazy stand, but their paint job might not be the best, and then they kind of get miffy when they don't win, almost like they're looking to buy votes. Does that make sense?
It's not buying votes. It's just there's a different criteria. It's not the best painted by far. It's just the most painted.
Yeah, I guess that's a wrong term.
But I mean, that's the same thing we do, like when we wanted to reward Kent because he sculpted the figures versus obviously the much superior paint job of the guy who paid for someone else to do it.
Right.
So it's a hard line between the two.
There was some excellent miniature painting. They had the best theme award best theme, the best team, best individual model. Everything in there was top notch, man. It really was. And so the awards could have gone either way. There was some of them that had that extra stuff of like the display, for everything to fit on and look really nice and pretty, which I don't knock that stuff, but I try not to let that influence me. I believe that there was a Chaos Cup or some other tournament early on when we went to tournaments where somebody had like
It was the first one. They had a fancy
like
graveyard.
Goblins and fancy graveyard and house looking thing. And me and you felt like it wasn't the best painted.
It wasn't.
It was the coolest thing there, but
Yes.
it wasn't the best painted.
Exactly. That's where we have to know what the judge wants. Are you wanting the best painted? Or are you wanting our overall? That's why we have changed it to which team would you just want to vote for? Do you want to take it home? Do you think it's the best painted? Whatever. We'll go with it.
So, again, everybody's stuff was painted amazing. There was even, I really liked the guy who did the guy who was playing the ogres at the tournament. His paint jobs were, I think you would love them too. Because
that's all his.
We like those poppy colors and stuff, and his stuff was really beautiful and stuff. There was a lot of good stuff though. My overall thought this year is it did not feel like a normal Chaos Cup. And it's obviously why. Because one, I didn't go hang out with people. I didn't go eat lunch with a different crowd. I didn't go hang out at the bar or go Saturday night, after we eat, staying up till 1:00, hanging out with other people or wandering around and talking to people as they're playing board games or hanging out with those same people in the same room playing board games.
Yeah.
You know how we leave every Chaos Cup and we say, it doesn't feel like we had a chance to talk to everybody.
See, and this is one of the times that I would actually be okay with leaving Sunday night.
Right.
Because we're not going to hang around and go out to dinner with people and, chit chat and all that. It's just, okay, let's go. We'll save that much time on Monday.
Right. And I didn't really want to go. I said, I don't really want to leave early. I said, but I know tomorrow I will not regret this decision. So we'll do whatever you want. It didn't feel like a regular Chaos Cup, nobody likes wearing the mask, but you had to. You didn't get to hang out with a lot of people. I loved the trip from the point I got to go with two of my oldest friends, even though they might not love Blood Bowl or Blood Bowl fluff and gaming as much as me.
Right.
It was still nice to finally do that with them. And then on the other end, I missed, it's really weird. I was expecting to get a lot of conversations of what do you think of the new rules? You know how that conversation is. What are you bringing? What's your strategy? What you hoping for? All that just wasn't there this year. And I know it was because I didn't go just pal around with people this year because I said I wasn't going to anyways because of all the scare stuff and stay up super late and all that stuff. So it was very different. So I will say for you people who say oh, you're making me super jealous. I would always be like, well, I wouldn't be jealous because it's not the same feeling that you miss.
Yeah.
The locations we went to, Giordano's, Portello, stuff like that. Yes, you miss those things, but I didn't get fulfilled in the fellowship side of it.
Well, and also realistically, this year and last year both are unique because we didn't meet up with Chance and Drew and go into Chicago and do something. We didn't have the foreigners come in that we see once a year or something. There is all of that, and it just all factors in. Unfortunately, it just is what it is for right now, and we can look forward to next year. Next year,
right.
If everything's good and, we know it's safe to go and people actually do what they're supposed to do, then we can go. We can get Chance and Drew to go. We can all hang out. We can see foreigners if the country's open by then. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, as we were leaving, Chris, I can't ever pronounce his name. It starts with an O, Orzog or whatever. Orzog or I can't pronounce his name. Anyways, He played Kimry. Super nice guy. Love the dude. We talked a very little bit at the very end. I saw him running around, but I never got to talk to him until, just 5-10 minutes Sunday. And it's just man, this tournament, I've either made myself too antisocial or just not everybody hung out. I mean, I didn't see anybody play board games until we left.
Yeah.
Brian too, and I think Saul and Michael Bell were playing Machikoro as we were leaving. But I didn't see anybody else because I wasn't hanging out in the area to watch all that stuff.
And to be fair, it was 48 people minus you three guys. So 45 minus Jeffro and, whoever else was part of the crew helping out. So you're talking about most 40 people. And they typically stick to themselves. It's not 100 people hanging out in the lobby and goofing off.
That's true. I mean, the numbers are way down. And let's face it, we have our fans, and then we have our non-fans. That's just true with anything. There's, I didn't have a good 30-minute conversation with Siggy. I didn't see this person or that person. Grant wasn't there to give me hugs and caress me and try to get me to drink with him and stuff like that. Michael Lewis wasn't there, stuff like that. So yeah, it was a good time. I am very happy and blessed that I ended up winning an award. Very happy for that. So don't think that. I was disappointed in my gameplay enough that I won a top 10.
I will never win an award. I will never come in top 10. That's just life.
Well, Steve, after the drive back, I thought maybe you're not built for top 10, Scott. Maybe from now on, you just need to take a fun team with zero expectations. Maybe just decide it's Chaos Pact, and every year just play them at Chaos Cup, and then just compete against yourself.
Yeah.
This first year, I went 1, 3, and 2. Next year, I want to do better than that, and just enjoy.
I mean, isn't that pretty much what Spider did? And he's getting top 10 with Camry?
I believe that's what, I think he did something similar. Or maybe since my NAF ranking is wrecked anyways with ogres from playing them that one time where I let the people run by and try to get casualties. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should just play them every year at Chaos Cup because no expectations. Maybe I could luck into a Stunty Cup and do good. I don't know. I was disappointed in myself with my gameplay, but at the same time, honestly, one of my funnest matches was probably playing Lucas, and I lost that game.
Yeah,
and I was very frustrated at that game. But it was also one of the you just felt the wheels turning on the ends of both coaches, where I would set up something and it would be frustrating for him, and then vice versa. So to all those people that want to call me the grumpy bad sport or the Eeyore of Blood Bowl, that's fine. But I had a good time,
dude. You were bitching and moaning nonstop the whole time.
Yeah, I was.
It's just what you do.
It's just what I do. I'm more mad at myself when I can't resist the push out. But
no, that was absolutely. It's just that's where I can play. It's basically like poker. Yep. I've got it in my head that you play the right moves, and if you get screwed by luck, you just get screwed by luck, and you get pissed off for like 5 seconds, and you're like, "Well, I still made the right call." Absolutely, you made the right call there.
You give me that chance to do that 20 more times, I'm still making the same call. It's just like the craziness of it. And I've never got to do. I don't think I've ever done more than 5 casualties in a game, but I got 11. So
yeah, even pitch clearing, it's not the same as 11 casualties when the guy has 12.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, I really don't feel like my dice were worse or better than anybody else's. Of course, we just remember the bad times where the dice fail you, and it seems like it really sucks balls.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had great matches with some great coaches, and that's always good. Got to play different people. So that part was really enjoyable. I think I really missed the fellowship of stuff.
Of course. That's how it was last year too. I mean,
and maybe that's the real reason I go to Chaos Cup. I mean, when you break it down to it, I mean, you hope to do good.
Yeah.
But at the end, you're satisfied and you're leaving. I wanted that feeling of man, I didn't get to see everybody enough.
Yeah. I mean, if that's why we stay over on Sunday nights. If we can go out to dinner with J-Bone or Core or the Swedes or just random people, James Lanier last year. I get to meet people and see people I don't normally get to. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, yeah,
This year's completely just and the outlier, hopefully, that we never have to worry about again.
I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so. Um, Also, to you people out there, that if I, for Task Force Geek, the other little goofy thing I do, I did an interview with like the winner of Sevens and the winner of Chaos Cup and Jeffro. Those are over on YouTube if you care about those.
Yeah, so let's talk about your promotion for Both Down, where you
I realized both
did
times
not.
I didn't say anything about Both Down, and I apologize to you for that. I
You
should
didn't
have.
post it on Both Down. You didn't wear a Both Down T-shirt. I mean, I
No.
question your commitment to Sparkle Motion.
Well, I'm about to go solo, Steve.
No, with you and Task Force Geek, all the other people.
No, no, I'm yours.
Two drunk
You're married to
podcast.
me. I'm gonna
Okay,
join Two Drunk Flings. What do you think about that,
everyone else does.
dude?
At least you wouldn't. At least you wouldn't have to podcast. So there's that.
True, Two Drunk Flings and friends, but I wanted to say and Scott Prime.
Uh, okay,
Plus Scott Prime.
let's
No,
go ahead and wrap this up and come back to shout outs.
yeah, let's wrap this up. We'll come back with shout outs.
Just across the road is the Art Institute of Chicago, whose exterior is a work of art in itself. Set aside at least a day to explore this treasure house of European, American, and Asian masterpieces.
Okay, after a full weekend of Blood Bowl and a travel back where you're super tired, the only way to end this off is
Shout outs.
take it you're a little tired.
I'm tired, brother. I don't even know if I have the voice to do the high pitched shout outs. Shout outs.
I understand.
I'm tired. I feel like I've told all these stories to all the people that haven't got to go, like talk to me on the phone.
Well, at least you have people paying attention and wanting to know.
No, it's cool. Surprisingly, I had a lot of people message me privately and told me congrats on. I felt like I got a better reception on the Chaos winning the most brutal award afterwards than I did at the event. So that made me feel good.
Everybody loves Doombeard Dave.
That's okay. He's a nice guy. I mean, that's his thing, right? He goes and kills things, smashes them.
Yeah. But at what cost? At what cost?
He has to listen to a lot of Sade, which is way too much for me.
Yeah, that's punishment enough. So do you have any shout outs for the Chaos Cup aside from like Jeffro?
I want to shout out to Jeffro and his crew, Chris and all those guys who helped him out for running. The tournament really ran no crap, really smooth, super on time. Nothing was, but I think we were ahead more than we were ever behind. We were never behind.
You started early on Sunday. That was surprising.
Yeah, it got going as soon as people got there. He said, everybody's here. We're just going to start. I mean, it was great. That from that point of view, it was really great. It was weird not having raffles, which we didn't do any of that. So there was like no raffles to deal with.
Oh.
So that didn't drag anything out.
Yeah. And no charity stuff either?
No charity stuff, nothing like that this year.
Makes sense.
So that helped a little bit on time. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Florida guys. I wore that fancy shirt that they brought us from Oklahoma Bowl, the Scott Prime one.
Right.
That they brought. It fit like a glove, and I wore that all day Saturday. So I never got told I was an honorary Floridian, but that's okay because I'm from Oklahoma. But the shirt was awesome.
Whenever they give you the COVID, then you'll be an honorary Floridian.
Well, man, I better not, or I'll never go back as long as this stuff's still around. I don't. Shout out to them. It was nice to see Pat win again. Pat, if you're out there listening, I'm putting in you move to Oklahoma and find a job here and hang out with me and Steve.
Does he need a job?
There's been some rumblings. His bar, I think, is closing down. Oh. So prayers to Pat that everything works out. He said he's not worried about anything till about January. So we'll just see how it goes. If Pat's not worried, I'm not going to be worried. So
if anyone does
him, but
need a job, I mean, my job's always hiring, and I can refer people.
There you go. And yeah, you can come move to Oklahoma and hang out with us. It was nice seeing him. Congrats to all the people that I played. I don't want to throw any of you in the wood chipper, so that's at least a good thing. And I usually don't ever shout that out on here.
There's usually one. Yeah.
It's usually one. Um, if I had some advice to give, if you're drinking, don't open beers above people's fields. I don't think I talked about that. Somebody spilt beer all over my field, my sevens field. Good thing it's sevens because I probably won't use it again. I know it's an accident and stuff like that.
Was it neoprene though?
Huh? It was neoprene.
Cleaned off, right?
Yeah, I cleaned off pretty well.
Good.
Kind of still smells like beer, and I don't. That's the one alcoholic drink I don't like at all. So
yeah.
Like, I don't like to smell beer, but whatevs. Shout out to Michael Haley. I got to see Phil a little bit. Just doesn't feel like I talked to a lot of people. But shout outs to all the regulars that were there. Brian to his son. We saw Rich briefly, but only talked briefly. Anyways, same old stuff, right? Thanks to the people that actually bought a few things at the table, but it was really only a few things. So I feel like you set me up this year, man, telling me I could keep all the money, and there was like hardly any money to keep.
Not my fault.
It was by far the worst year to sell swag, but
yeah,
I don't blame people. I mean,
again, if people would like to support the podcast, you're more than welcome to purchase stuff from our store. We always have stuff available.
Before I left on the trip, somebody blessed me in ways I'm not gonna. They don't want me to talk about it, but you know who you are, and you're listening, and I'd like to thank you for the help. And we'll just stick to that. But otherwise, overall, it was a good trip. I'd be lying if I said it was a great trip, because at no point did I feel like it was great. It's just different, and maybe that's the better thing to say. It's such a different trip. It's weird because going to a Blood Bowl show, a tournament without your podcast partner feels weird, you know. So
I'm
there's
aware.
Some of that,
yeah.
You know, because we both got that kind of push pull thing where you know people want to talk to Steve and then they want to give me a hard time, or vice versa. Or so there wasn't a lot of that dynamic, and of course I went with two people that aren't known to play Blood Bowl, so they were just people, not anybody that somebody wanted to talk to.
Yeah.
But other than that, hats off to those guys for running such a big event during this kind of time and that we're living in.
Yeah, I'm glad it turned out pretty well.
So if you have any questions or comments, thoughts.
So I do have one shout out before we wrap up.
Sure.
Aside from the regular people who email and we talk about all the time, our buddy Thor, who does the Black Wolf painting studio, he has his serial killer team up on Kickstarter. So you can look for serial killers, and we'll put a link in the description. Just trying to get it to goal, and it's the ones that you've seen online with like the corn and the popcorn and corn stalks and soda and stuff.
It's like if you were going to have an Aqua Teen Hunger Force team.
Pretty much.
It's pretty close.
That or close. The old Let's Go to the Lobby team.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're really cool. I know it's not to everyone's liking, but if you are at all interested, please go and check them out.
Yeah. One last thing I will say, and I've struggled with whether I wanted to bring this up or not. So first off, I'm going to say I did not hear this in my own ears. So I don't want anybody to take it as 100% value. But I was told by somebody else that in the halls, somebody mentioned to one of their travel partners, if we play each other, I'll tank the game so you can win and get higher up for the top table.
Yeah.
I will say, if that was something we would have overheard at Oklahoma Bowl or Spiky Cup or Nuffleween, you would have got a pretty serious talking to, and we might have even dropped you.
If we saw you doing it, yeah, you'd be kicked.
For sure. So a good reminder to if this happened, text your information so nobody knows about it,
Right.
and make it look good. And two, don't talk about it out loud. And if this never was said by anybody, then just
For
let it
future
go.
reference, don't do that sort of stuff.
But I mean,
Just play
the
your
Blood Bowl
games.
community, it's tough enough when you got to finish matches so other people can get their extra points or extra casualties. We don't need people throwing matches if that's even a possibility. And frankly,
Well, it's like if I knew you were going for casualties. Is it wrong for me to keep all my people down? Or is it wrong for me to stand all my people up and just put them in your face?
honestly, there's no really right answer, but if I knew I had to lose to you, like I had no chance of getting in the top tables,
Mm-hmm.
but you did, and I tanked a match. One, you wouldn't like that on
No,
a personal level,
of course not.
and two, I wouldn't really like it either.
I mean, I would
Even
love
though,
to be top 10 of Chaos Cup, trust me,
yeah,
but I want to get there
it's
legitimately.
like I said, if it was true, I hope you thought better of it, and it's probably a good thing you did. You, if the information that was given to me is correct, those people never even played each other, so it
Yeah.
didn't even matter. But the fact that it was mentioned and overheard, supposedly, if this person heard right, I think that's really bad. And if it's true, then it makes like the area you're from look bad. So just as advice, beware that people are listening, and remember this is a game and everybody should try for it. And I never give Steve matches at events, and he never gives me. Matter of fact, I don't know if me and Steve would be clapping as hard as maybe other people would be when we win awards, because we kind of have some prideful competition in between us. So,
No, I mean, I want to win, I want awards, but I'm always happy if you get it.
sure.
And, it's not like if I came in first and you came in second, like I'd ever hold it over your head. Like
Oh, right.
the
Like
second tournament we ever went to.
the second tournament, and then like Buccaneer
Hmm.
Bowl and other ones.
I
Yeah,
would never
sure.
do that.
Right. You would never do that. Um, but
But, yeah. Um,
to all you knuckleheads that said, "Oh, Scott, you should go and take a competitive team because the coaches aren't going to be as tough." Screw you, all of y'all. There was still a ton of really good American coaches
sure,
there.
you're going to have good
So
ones, but that just means you suck more.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I suck more. Yay.
Um, so yeah, that's going to wrap it up pretty much for this. We will get back on schedule soon. I know we have the Snotlings to cover. We've got other stuff. I know other podcasts have started covering the 2020 rules, and we're not doing that. We're not going to cover
No,
those completely until they come out, period. I don't care.
probably not. It's funny. I was talking to Doombeard, and he doesn't want the NAF to change the piling on rule at
Of
all.
course he doesn't.
Um, he said, I don't even want to think about that. Most of the people that I talked to, which was very few, were pretty positive about the 2020 rules. So,
Almost everyone I've talked to online has been positive too. I think it's going to be a good change. I just, for right now, we are not going to go over everything because it's not out. And I just don't feel that that's right.
um, yeah, I mean, I'm open to talk about it, but like,
We've talked about it some. We can talk again, but we're not going to go over like every minutia.
no, 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 not that. I
There's
think
some
we should.
podcast or video series where it's like, okay, well, page 3. Now we're going to
Oh,
go
is
over
that what they're
every.
doing?
Well, they just go over every little bit,
Okay,
and
well,
it's
I'm
like,
not ready to do
no.
that. I would like to play test some more games under the 2020 rules to get used to
Yes,
them.
if we
And I look
haven't made
forward
that
to the.
clear, we are doing that, so I have no issue with that.
Yeah, we're really fast with play testing. We played like
Too.
3 games
Yeah.
in the month and a half. But yeah, we need to cover Snotlings. It's really weird. I think that's another reason. Like somebody asked me, like, you having fun? And I was like, eh. I said, I am really ready to get on to the next chapter of Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
And as somebody who is really opposed to that, I'm now like, let's just get on with it.
Which I'm happy too, because I like the idea. It's going to be a clean break for the most part. I can't imagine too many people are going to stick by the old rules. I'm sure some will. But it's going to be a nice clean break. It changes completely the dynamic of leveling up teams. And it's just going to be different.
Yeah.
And I really want to get back to playing tournaments. I'm pretty sure Nuffleween's not going to happen.
A few asked me about that, and I was like, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but there's still some time to maybe do a very limited number of seedings, but I don't know. I mean, we'll decide in 2 months from now.
Yeah, I mean, basically, with the way Oklahoma's going, the only way we can decide is like 2 weeks beforehand.
Yeah, Jennifer told me we're a red state now, which I don't know what that means. Totally.
We've always been red. It means I almost used a very bad word.
No, I'm talking about with the COVID stuff.
Yeah, well, we had, what did we have, 14 people die today? Or yesterday? We're having double-digit people die every day, and 600 to 1,000 people catch it. So, yeah, not good.
All right. So let's just wrap this up.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully next year, if we go to Chaos Cup, we go together, we have some fun.
See a baseball game.
All socialize. Huh?
See a baseball game.
That would be weird and awesome. Also very nice. I'm slurring my words now, so I'm so tired.
I know the feeling. Trust me. Did 12 hours yesterday on top of the 70 whatever last week.
I gotcha. All right. Well, thank you everybody for whoever I saw at Chaos Cup. Hope you had safe travels back home. I hope it would be a miracle if we could hear back from everybody and found out like nobody gave anybody something.
That would be good.
So, but
with
really
Pat
awesome.
Wynn being there, I don't trust it.
Why is that?
He was the super spreader the last time.
He's patient zero every time?
Every time.
Okay.
I don't know if that's truly the case, but that's his.
That's right. He was sick a couple years ago. Wasn't
yeah, and it probably wasn't him, but we gave him hell for it.
Right. He's Papa Nurgle.
Mm-hmm. He should only play Nurgle from now on.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
As the sun sets, Chicago truly lights up. But don't plan on going to bed early. The city offers some of the best jazz, blues, and theater in America. So come on over to Chicago. The memories you'll take away will last a lifetime, no matter how hard the wind blows.
You can follow Both Down on Twitter at Both Down. You can follow Scott at Fat Finley, FATFINLEY, and Steve at Kilowog2814. If you want to know if your team name is Both Down approved, send a tweet to @BDapproved. If you'd like to email them, the email address is bothdownpodcast@gmail.com. Or for more information, you can visit them at bothdown.com or at facebook.com/bothdown.
Hey everybody. Don't have anything funny to add. Didn't really cut out a whole lot. Just kind of went through. So I went ahead and cut the commercial this time because I'm sure you're sick of hearing the same commercial from Scott telling you to go to Wizard Asylum. However, go to Facebook and they're Wizards Norman. Check them out. They let us run tournaments when we want. Brian's a great guy. I'm sure he can use all the support he can get during the current downturn. That being said, you can also go to bothdown.com/shop, and we can also appreciate your patronage. Should get the new Oklahoma stuff up there probably. That would be good. And also, if you would like to cut a commercial for Wizards Asylum that I can drop in and not have to do anything extra every time, I'm cool with that. So just shoot it to me, bothdownpodcast@gmail.com. You can message me directly on Facebook. I'm Steve Campbell, not hard to find. And I guess that's it. Thanks for listening. And yes, it sucks I didn't get to go to Chicago, but hopefully next year we can change that up.